welcome to another episode of Unnamed Sports Show right here on Gorilla Cross. I'm your host, Quan59, and we have a huge show for you today. Listen, we're 2 hours early. We're usually at 6 o'clock, but since there's so much sports happening, Lakers are playing at 6:30, I think. Knights are playing at 6 or 6:30 also. So we will be coming in a little early. We might be doing that for the rest of the playoffs, just be here at 4 o'clock on Mondays instead of 6. But I'll let you know. But just stay tuned in with us. If you're watching, please subscribe to the channel. If you're on Facebook, please go to the Gorilla Cross Sports YouTube page and subscribe right there. And we have a full house today. We have a full house. Got my man Frank in the building. What's good?
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I see I meet new friends. I see old friends.
Yeah, new friends.
I'm hyped. We're very old friends.
You're very old.
Right. Nice.
You're a lot older than me, Frank.
A lot, like a year.
I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, you're right. 12 months.
In dog years, that's like 7 more years, right?
I'm an old dog.
Yeah.
Woof.
Woof. He hasn't been here in a long time. We got Jose V from Straight Bet Sports in the building. What's good?
What's good, Quan? Thank you for letting me back, man. Appreciate it.
Yes,
long
sir.
Time.
Yes, sir.
Ready to talk some sports and boxing.
And then we have the man who was very excited this year in football. His team went all the way to the NFC Championship. I can't remember who they lost to.
Oh, brother.
But we have the Michigan man, Chris Wynn, in the building. And they had 14 wins, and so did your other team, the Pistons.
What a stat to start off the show with, Quan bringing up. I love it, baby. 14 wins for both the Detroit Pistons, my Detroit Pistons, and my Detroit Lions. A rough ending to the NBA season for us Detroit fans there, Quan. But you know what? Hey, it is a great time of year. You pointed it out, man.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff going on, right? NBA playoffs,
NBA.
Stanley Cup playoffs. Oh, yeah, there's the draft coming up on Thursday.
Draft coming up Thursday.
Right?
And we're going to be talking about that all day Thursday. So
yeah.
We're going to have a draft show on Thursday's episode. So we'll talk about that in a little bit today. But, we're going to mostly stick with the playoffs. But, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a big sports week. If you're watching live, please let us know in the comments where you're watching from. And we would appreciate it. Young Wisdom, what up? We got D. Foss, early bird special today. Yeah. You got to get those early birds in, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You got to. So for those of you that haven't seen Chris on the show or Jose on the show, we always do this for the people that are new on the show. Chris, name your 5 major sports teams, your 5 favorite teams for major sports.
Yeah, my 5,
including WNBA.
Major sports teams are the Michigan State, both football and basketball teams, also the Detroit Pistons, Detroit Red Wings, Detroit Tigers, and yes, as Quan mentioned, the NFC Championship game participant who ended up losing to Quan's San Francisco 49ers, the Detroit Lions. So those would be my 5 teams that I
What's up, Tamika? What about WNBA? I said
WNBA, I'm big. We cover the Las Vegas Aces here in town. Yeah. There is an affinity for that squad, obviously. But I'm not going to, I don't want to be disingenuous and say that I'm a fan necessarily. Although, yes, I look at them very admirably.
So you're a Shock fan still?
Detroit, I got to be, hey,
Detroit Shock.
Quan, you nailed it. I mean, I am. I have memories of those Detroit Shock teams with Bill Laimbeer as the head coach,
OG.
and winning championships, right? Yeah. Going back to Nancy Lieberman Klein, who was our first coach for the Detroit Shock back in the day. So yes, there is a little bit of fandom there.
Nancy Reagan.
But Quan, you talked about my top 5. I couldn't go top 5 with the Detroit Shock. I couldn't.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, Jose.
Lakers, Yankees,
Doesn't make
Jets,
sense.
Knights, Aces, just like that.
None of his teams make sense to me.
It doesn't really. You're going East Coast. Wait, time out.
They're from everywhere.
Jose, you're going East Coast. You're going West Coast.
Back and forth.
He's going from New York to LA.
How'd that come about? So,
real quick, 30 seconds. Reason I became a Yankee fan, first baseball team I ever played for in Little League was the Yankees. First hat given to me was a Yankee hat, so I ran with it. Jets, first football jersey ever given to me, Boomer Esiason Jets jersey, ran with it. I don't know why I did that. Should have went somewhere else. But yeah, that's where at. LA, Lakers, grew up there, so that's all it is, man.
All right. There you have it. Yeah. And then Frank likes the Raiders, so we won't get too much more into his.
Talk about that.
He's like, we don't have to talk about that right now.
Listen, first up, what we're going to talk about is the Lakers.
Okay.
Playing Denver tonight. Can Lakers win tonight? And will D'Angelo Russell actually show up? He wasn't just missing threes. He missed a wide open layup.
Yeah.
And then he looked back at the rim like it was the rim's fault. D'Angelo Russell's been playing great since he was being threatened to be traded. But he's playing exactly how he played last year in Denver. We're seeing a repeat of the Lakers. Like, it looks like it looked like game 5 from last year. It just looked like a repeat of the two same exact teams. Lakers look really bad. And AD and LeBron look good. But everyone else didn't. And even LeBron kind of in the second half fading away a little bit. But when your team's down and when you're seeing your team, you know, the rest of your team's not playing hard, like, what are you going to do? But D'Lo has to score. He has to hit these shots. They're already having him and Austin Reeves in the game without being able to play defense. Yeah. So if you're going to be in the game and you can't defend, you better be able to score. Frank?
1 for 9 from 3 for D'Lo. He's going to have to be there. He's going to have to produce tonight. This is going to be, you're talking about a team that they've lost 9 straight games to in the Nuggets. And I think it's going to become more and more, increasingly more difficult as the series goes along. If they lose this game, it's very unlikely they're going to win 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
So this game tonight becomes much more important for the Lakers. You know that Davis has played out of his mind this year. He's had an incredible season. 76 games he was available to play in the regular season.
That's wild.
That's got to be like some type of record for him, I think, going back to his New Orleans days. And LeBron's going to be LeBron. They need a third person to contribute. I don't know if it necessarily needs to be D'Angelo, but maybe a collaboration between him and Rui, him and Austin Reeves.
I think it needs to be D'Angelo, though. It's been D'Angelo all year. He needs to at least hit 3 or 4 out of these 10 threes he's thrown up.
How many bench points did they have? Like 11?
11 from one guy. That's it. Taurean Prince had 11
right?
points.
11
Nothing
points.
else.
That was it. Yeah. So
I'm going to break this light anyways. I've been struggling with that light all day. Lakers lost 9 straight to Denver. Will it be 10 tonight? I think Lakers could pull it off, but so far, like Ray Sun said, we haven't seen that in the last 9 games. So you could be hopeful with it, but they have to win this game to have a chance in the series. Chris, what do you think?
Well, here's my take on this series. Obviously, after watching that game on Saturday, right, where the Lakers came out in the first half, looked pretty solid, right? You go out there, they got the lead at halftime. They put up a 60 spot in the first half, so you don't think they're, dealing with huge issues offensively in that first half. Mm-hmm. Then the third quarter came around, gentlemen. Then the third quarter rolled around, and the Lakers put up an 18 spot, I believe, in the third quarter, and you started to see some leakage when it came to their offensive game. Yeah. When it turned out to be all things Los Angeles Lakers on that end of the floor. And as Jose just brought up, right, and you guys, all three of you brought up, with respect to the bench, you can't have Prince be the only guy off the bench that's scoring points. You got to get Spencer Dinwiddie, if he's going to be playing any minutes over 10 minutes a game. Yeah. You got to get more out of him, right? Obviously, LeBron James, you look at the numbers, right? 27, 8, and 6, and you think, okay, out of a 39-year-old guy that's your leader, those are good numbers. But I got to be honest, guys, he's actually got to be more productive, I think, if they're going to win this series, right? He's got to put up better numbers than that, and those are solid numbers. And it sounds crazy for me to say that. Obviously, you averted also to D'Angelo Russell. You can't be 6 for 20 from the field. You can't be 1 for 9 for 3. If you're D'Angelo Russell, and what Frank talked about, right? Having a guy or a couple guys step up to help LeBron, right, win these games. It's going to have to be D'Angelo Russell. It's going to have to be Hachimura, who scored 7 points in 31 minutes.
Austin Reeves.
And Austin Reeves
too. Yeah.
Look, he had 13 in the game. He was efficient, but it wasn't necessarily overly productive, right?
Yeah.
He's not the guy that was scoring 18 and 20 last year, right, in the playoffs, where you're like, oh, this guy's arrived. You know what I mean? So there's got to be more. There's got to be more contributions from the supporting cast around LeBron if the Lakers are going to have a chance, Jose.
I think LeBron and AD did what they had to do. I mean, if you look at the stat line is there. You mentioned it. What more can we ask from LeBron to do? I think is the tough question there. You're saying that, he's got to give up a little more. You look at the plus minus. LeBron -9 on the court. AD minus 12. I know Russell wasn't that great, but he was a +2. As when you look at Austin Reeves, minus 12 on the court. I'm kind of with Quan. I think you need to see a lot more from D'Angelo Russell. Russell needs to be the guy that needs to step up for this Laker team and be the guy that he was post-trade talks, right? When all that trade conversation was coming out, he decided to start playing ball, and that's the thing. Not only that, matchup-wise, you're not going to stop Nikolai Djokovic, but how are you going to try to find a way to slow him down? That's the question. You have a guy in Anthony Davis that has been healthy all year, right? Size-wise is there. Find a way to either double team him, find a way to get a better matchup on him, because if not, he's going to keep eating, he's going to keep killing them. And then Jamal Murray. I mean, come on, the point guard.
Dude.
We saw what he did to the Lakers last year. We see what he's doing again. Great start for him in this game 1 of the series. But at the end of the day, I think that the Lakers get back to what they did, what you said in the first half. They were up by 5 at halftime, looking really good going into that second half, and then just disappeared. Do what you did in the first half, make those adjustments that you have to make in the second half, and you won't get beat again. I think the Lakers come out and win tonight's game, though. Don't let that score fool you. The Lakers looked a lot better than that final score was the other night.
They look a lot better. I don't know about that.
I was waiting for Quan.
We were up by Lakers were up by 15 in the first half. And then it ended up being, I think, a tie game, or I think Lakers went up by 3 with that 3 from LeBron at the end of the half. So to give up that lead, Lakers have done this. The 9 games they've lost, right? They've looked good for 2 quarters, 3 quarters. And then that fourth quarter, the second half of the game, it doesn't matter how big of a lead they have. So they need to get a lead and keep a lead.
Yeah.
And so far, they haven't done that from last year's playoffs to this whole season. They look like they were in the game. Oh, Lakers got this. They're finally going to beat Denver. And it's the same episode every time. These games have been reruns. Like it's the same game. And whose fault is that if it's the same game over and over again? It's the players, but it's also the coach. You're not making adjustments. Why is D'Angelo still in the game in the second half when he can't hit anything? Why isn't Gabe Vincent anymore, who's the only one playing defense on the perimeter?
It leads to the question, Quan. I'll bounce you guys, because you guys are the Laker guys, okay? I'll throw it at you like a Molotov cocktail, okay? I'll throw it at you.
That's what it feels
Is
like.
Darvin Ham going to cost them this series, or are they going to possibly win this series in spite of Darvin Ham being the coach, Quan? We saw what was with all the chatter at the end of the regular season regarding Darvin Ham
we've
and the
seen it all
speculation,
season.
right? The players were like, we want him out of
Possibility
here.
that they don't
We
even
want the
make-
assistant coach to take over.
Right.
So talk to me, Quan. Is this a situation where Darvin Ham
If
could
Lakers
cost them
lose
the
the
series?
series in the first round, he's gone.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question about that. Even if they win the championship, he might be gone. I don't know. I just don't think he's a good coach. And I don't think the players really respond to him anymore. I don't think they don't like him. I just don't think they respond to him. Phil Haney, even if you watch the games, when Phil Haney stands up, they respond a lot more to Phil Haney than they do Darvin Ham. And I don't know. Because they built a squad, right? This team's better than they were last year. They have better players. They have better fit. Jared Vanderbilt, we're still waiting for him to come back, right? He hasn't been healthy all year. But it's just wild to me. You have a big lead and you relax. You can't do that. You already know this team owns you, right? Anthony Davis in the what is a training camp?
Yeah.
The media day.
Yeah.
He was saying how, man, me and LeBron been talking about it all summer, how Mike Malone said, I'm Lakers daddy, and man, we can't wait to play them again. And then you play them again, you do the same exact thing. So
opening
guess
night.
who's your daddy, AD and LeBron? Mike Malone. He's your daddy.
They
He is.
lull them to sleep, though, don't they? I mean, that's what the style
Yeah.
of how the Nuggets kind of play. We were watching opening.
But you know that, right?
But I remember,
You see that.
we
How come
do.
Darvin Ham
That's
doesn't see that? How
I
come
don't
the
know, maybe
players don't
no
see
one's
that?
Told, nobody's told
But
them
to circle back to the series, right, Quan? You talked about this on multiple shows. You, Dre, and others who talked about this. They did not want to see the Nuggets in the first round. If there's some way that the Lakers could avoid this matchup and play anybody else in the West, right, guys? Anybody else.
Don't you think they
It
would
would
have rather
been
played
not
them early
anybody
on?
but the Denver Nuggets, right?
Don't you think they would have rather played them early than going through a series or
No,
two
because
to play them again.
Frank, because the deal is that it's, and I pointed that out when the first thing I said, right? I think it's a bad matchup.
Just
for
in
the
general,
Lakers.
it doesn't matter when they
and
play
I think they
them.
know it's a bad matchup for themselves,
But
and so that's
they
why
would- they would have to
agreed
play
with Juan
them-
when he said before the playoffs started, you don't want to play the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they would have to play them eventually. So if I had to play them
yeah.
in the playoffs, I'd rather play them now while you're healthy, while AD's still healthy. So I would rather play them now. But looking at can someone else knock them out, then Lakers could have been like, all right, cool. Because I don't think Lakers would be scared of any other team in the playoffs.
No, I agree with you. I think the West is wide open. I think if the Lakers find a way to get the Nuggets out, there's no one in the West. And obviously, I'm a Laker fan. I'm not in the team, but no one scares me in the West. I think they can beat anyone in the West and get to that title as long as you get past Denver. And the fact that they ended the season against Denver, they got to figure it out. LeBron disappears in the fourth quarters against Denver for some reason in his last 10 games. Not that great. Last night, or Saturday, only 3 points. You need to see a lot more from LeBron, I think, in the clutch moments if this team is going to be able to pull it off and win these games late. You know
And that's
what
what I'm saying. When you were talking about LeBron's stats, it's like, yeah, that's cool. But when are the stats happening?
Right.
And they didn't happen in the second half.
Correct.
This Nuggets team, though, they just have a way of we talk about all the time, and analysts and whoever are going to talk about the game all the time. Jokic, you don't remember him making 10 plays in a whole game. And then halfway through the third quarter, you look up and you go, this guy's got a triple-double.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't remember him touching the ball 10 times. The guy's already statistically, like, he's at triple-double. He's the most invisible 7-foot guy I've ever seen. It's ridiculous. But he's efficient. And it just, whatever it is, it just works because he's the star of the team. He's the leader of the team, but he doesn't assume that, look at me, I'm the star. I don't really know how to explain it.
Gotcha.
Maybe it's the altitude. I don't know, but it's really weird.
And to Jose, your point quickly about the Western Conference, it is wide open, right, guys? From the standpoint of the teams that are, when you're talking about teams like the Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder, obviously we're talking about youth, right? Unproven guys that haven't been there in the moment.
Yeah.
And then you're talking about the other teams. You're talking about the likes of the Clippers, right? We don't know who's going to be playing on the court from any given day, right? And they go out there and they look pretty impressive without Kawhi Leonard last night.
Yep.
So, yeah, it is absolutely positively wide open when it comes to the West.
And now it's game one of the playoffs, right? So we can't overreact on game ones. It's just with the Lakers, obviously, you're seeing they already went through this all season against Denver in the season series. They went through this last year in the Western Conference Finals. So we'll see what they can do. But all the other games, I'm not worried about the teams that lost in the first round, unless we're talking about the Eastern Conference, Celtics and Heat. That series is over, and Heat might get one at home. But I think that series is over. It was a blowout. Phoenix and Minnesota, a blowout. Clippers and Dallas, a blowout. Philly and New York.
Could be interesting,
It was
right?
all right, kind of a blowout.
Still like Philly.
It could be interesting, though, right, Quan? That series.
Yeah, it can be. We're going to talk about all these.
Yeah.
Who else? Who am I missing in the
Magic
East?
and Cavaliers, right?
Magic and Cavs. It was
Yeah.
a blowout.
Yeah.
And then finally, at the very last game of the
Last night,
weekend,
yeah.
there was a good game. I text Frank at like 11 o'clock in the morning, like, I'm already bored of the playoffs. Because they just did not look good. Like, none of the games were entertaining at all. You know what I'm saying? Knicks and Sixers was okay, but it still wasn't like, it wasn't a close game at the end, right?
Yeah.
And then hockey's on the other TV, and it's 5-6, 2-1, 1-0. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, it's a lot more interesting on this TV over here. But you're watching the NBA, it's like, man, this game's already over at halftime. Like, maybe Mavericks can come back from a 30-point deficit, and they made a little effort, got down to 15. You get a little excited, like, okay, it might be a cool comeback game, right? Nope. Still get blown out. But Pelicans and OKC, and I feel like this series is going to be like this every single game. I don't think we're going to see a double-digit win in this series. I think it's going 7 also. I think these teams are evenly matched, very young. I think Zion not being there for the Pelicans
Huge.
messes up their chances to actually be an 8 that beats a 1, because I think OKC's too young to get far in the playoffs. But they looked really good last night. I mean, it was a very entertaining game. My biggest pet peeve is when you're down by 2 points and you jack up a 3. I don't know why NBA teams do this over and over and over and over again, but McCollum jacked up a bad three. And then McCollum, instead of trying to tip it into the rim, he tips it out for three. So did CJ think they were down by 3? Because he tipped it back. He's the one that got the rebound and tipped it to the 3-point line instead of trying to tip it towards the rim.
The thing is with this Pelicans team, though, right, guys, is that what we saw in the play-in rounds, right, with this team. You got contributions from Brandon Ingram, right? Big time contribution. You got contributions from Nance Jr. and from Marshall and from Alvarado, especially, right? That wasn't the case in the first matchup, obviously, against OKC. They didn't get that type of level of performance from those guys, and that's the way I think. I agree with Quan. In fact, that it's not going to be double-digit wins by either one of these teams. But if the Pelicans are going to come on top in this series, you're going to have Alvarado and and Valanciunas and these other guys, Jones and others, putting up numbers, and Brandon Ingram's going to have to play like the expectations that we had for Brandon Ingram, right? For them to kind of be a team that's going to knock off even a young team and inexperienced team like the Thunder.
34 points combined for their bench.
Yeah.
In the play-in game to win that 8th seed against Sacramento.
Yep.
And then it's a matter of what do they do the next day, right? What do they do in the next game?
18 points, right?
That's what I'm trying to get.
Jose?
I'm sorry.
18 points.
94-92 final. We got
18
points. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing. You need more contributions from everyone else on that team. Quan mentioned it, Zion being out, but you also need Brandon Ingram to be that guy, to be more consistent. You need CJ to be the vet and be a leader on the court, in the huddle, get these guys ready, know what's at stake. You know what I mean? They could have won this game. And not only that, it shows you Oklahoma City showed their youth, showed their inexperience to only win this game by 2. A lot of people had this team winning by a lot more than that, thought that New Orleans had no chance. A lot tighter series than it's going to be, I think,
of feast or famine.
See,
with
I didn't
Oklahoma
think
City.
that at all. I mean, I didn't think that. I actually got Pelicans winning the series.
Okay.
Well, I think I picked OKC. I was going to pick Pelicans if Zion was there.
They're a really young team, though.
Yeah.
It's the youngest. It's the youngest or the second youngest starting 5 in the league.
Yeah.
How far does it go, though, you think?
What?
Series.
You
How far do you think?
I said 7 games.
You said 7? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the combination of the inexperience and the Pelicans just trying to show that they can play without Zion. That's kind of one of the interesting side stories to it, is the adjustments that they can make as they go, how they match up with OKC, because OKC is so inexperienced. A lot of those guys, I mean, you're talking about a starting 5 that averages 22 and a half years old. They are inexperienced, and they are still figuring this all out. In the future, they could be very dangerous. This season, this postseason, I don't know how long OKC is going to be around, even if they're able to survive this series.
Yeah. And I said it the other day. Josh Giddey is actually on record to say he hopes the series ends early. Well, it's prom season.
Sure.
So he can't.
There it is.
He can't be involved in basketball games while he's trying to take girls to prom.
Had a feeling that was coming.
Maybe he hopes the series ends early and they actually win it, because he's got to be more productive than he was in game 1. Him and Dort in that backcourt were terrible. We combined for like 8 points. So, and he still won the basketball game. So that I don't know what that says about the Thunder, but yeah, maybe that's why Giddey wants the series to end quickly, so they don't see how bad he's playing so far in the first game.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he did what he had to do in the fourth. He really stepped up big in that quarter. But I mean, this is the series I'm looking forward to. I really am. I like watching OKC. I love those young teams that don't know better, right? Like they could win just because they don't know they're supposed to lose. And I think that's how they got to where they're at right now in the playoffs. Let's talk about Denver. I mean, not Denver. We already talked about them sweeping my Lakers again. Let's talk about Phoenix and Minnesota. Anthony Edwards. I mean, he's my favorite player in the league, favorite non-Laker. I am praying nightly that he gets traded one day or signs one day to the Lakers. But he looked amazing. Karl Anthony Towns, he was, frolicking on the court. He looked pretty good in this game. Nazir, I mean, he's just a beast. Is this series gonna get close? Because Phoenix actually they blew them out in the last game of the season to get into the playoffs to make the 6th seed in Minnesota. But then you come in the first game in the playoffs and you end up getting blown out. It wasn't close all game. I don't like the fact Phoenix does not have a bench. And Bradley Beal really hasn't done that much this year. So I would have rather them kept Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and built a bench around them instead of trying to get a third star.
Depth is a big issue. It's something that we've been looking at ever since they formed this big three. We said that there isn't much of a bench to support them, and that is an issue, not so much in regular season games, but when you get into the playoffs, you need that 6th and 7th man that's going to be able to spell some people and be able to get stops and score some points and create shots and those things. We're in a weird spot because KD is trying to prove that he can do something without Steph, and he's gonna have a hard go of it because I don't know if Booker and Beal are going to be able to create the production and team cohesion that you had with Steph and Clay. I think sometimes those guys could have played blindfolded when they were playing together. But
Clay was playing blindfolded this year.
It looked like it, didn't it?
Especially in the last game of the season.
Oh, man.
But the point you guys are making about that bench, right, in Phoenix, I mean, there's two guys that come off that bench essentially, right? It's O'Neal and it's Eric Gordon. They both combined, I believe, for 47 minutes out of all the minutes off the bench for the Phoenix Suns.
And when everybody was hyped up that they signed Eric Gordon, it's like he's old now. Like that would have been a good signing 5 years ago.
And he didn't make a shot in the game, right? He was 0 for 5 in the game. Was a non-factor. I mean, are you expecting Isaiah Thomas to turn back the clock, guys? Are we thinking that big boy Roddy out of Colorado State? Mountain West guy, right? He's going to step up and be some kind of big time player for them on the bench. I mean, look, their bench is absolutely a huge liability. And then you look at the starters, right? Kevin Durant obviously goes for over 30 in this game, but Grayson Allen, 0.
He
4
got
points.
Hurt. He left early.
He got hurt, obviously.
Yeah, he left early, and we don't know the update. Is he playing the next game?
Yeah, it's a question mark still. But I mean, you got to have. I mean, if you're not going to have a bench, right? You got to have the starters clicking on all cylinders, and that's just not the case for the Phoenix Suns. I think this is. I mean, we talk about series that could end quickly. I think this is one of those series that could absolutely be short term, to say the least, when it comes
really
to the T-Wolves and the Suns.
That's really possible.
31 points for Kevin Durant, 5 turnovers though.
Yeah,
trying to do a little too much maybe because not the rest of the supporting cast is helping them. Who knows? But the one thing I will say about the Suns, at least that I still think Minnesota wins this series. I think this is their series to lose. I don't think they do, but I still think you can't sleep on Kevin Durant or Booker because they can have those games where they just go off and they can beat you. You know what I mean? Is that going to happen against this Minnesota team? I don't know. They're too high powered. They're too strong. The way that they're playing right now, they just look like they're
a big team.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they're strong.
And Phoenix is big, but not any depth with their size.
That crowd is ridiculous, by the way.
The crowd?
That crowd was ridiculous. The T-Wolves game.
Yeah. Should be when you haven't done anything.
They finally winning some games in the playoffs.
Bro.
Does Phoenix win next game?
absolutely not.
Really?
I don't think so.
No.
I think they'll win the first at Phoenix.
I think it'll be closer. I don't think they win though.
And Jose brought up Devin Booker. Devin Booker's got to be better than 5 of 16 from the field. He just has to, you know.
Only taking 16 shots.
Yeah.
You can't take just 16. How many did Bradley Beal have?
Bradley had he had 10 shots. He finished with 15
6 of
points.
10,
He was 6 of 10. Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, all the big three should be getting 20 shots each, right? And why aren't they?
31, 18,
That's not good.
and Beal had 15.
yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, you look at that bench and it's just scary, man. If you from Eubanks to Young to Kochi to Little and Bobo, all with what 4 and 9 minutes apiece, you gotta be on the floor more. I mean, you just flat out gotta get more out of your bench.
They have no
If they're
talent
gonna
on the
make- they're
bench
gonna make-
whatsoever. Nothing to help them
it's
coming
rough.
off that bench.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough.
All right, let's move over to the East because there's some games on right now, and I want to get to these before they get too deep. But Orlando is in Cleveland again. It's the end of the first. 28 seconds left in the first. 30-18, Cleveland is up. And my NBA TV is not working on Amazon. Appreciate that, Amazon.
Shout out.
Or Prime.
Big shout out.
But what do you guys think about this series? I thought the games were going to be closer. I thought Orlando was going to steal one in Cleveland. They still can. It's only a 12-point game. But I think you're seeing the youth in Orlando right now. They had a great season. End up getting the 5 seed. Could have even went up higher, but end up with a 5. But so far, they haven't looked great in this first game and quarter. What do you guys think? Do they have a chance in this series? I'll start with you, Chris.
It's interesting with Orlando, right? Because they do have a lot of youth and guys you expect offense out of when you talk about Paolo Banchero, right? You ended up with a decent game for him. But again, we get back to this. You can't have guards having games like this, guys, right? You can't have, Gary Harris, a guy who's considered a solid NBA guard, right? And goes out there and goes 0 for 6 from the field in 33 minutes. You can't have it. I can't have it,
There were some people mad when he got traded. Like, that's a bad trade for Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, that's
like, no, it wasn't.
That's screwing the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah,
Trading him
that
away
helped Denver win the championship.
Yeah, but I mean, look, and Jalen Suggs, 4 of 16 from the field. Suggs, I mean, really? In 33 minutes. So, and they had 2 quarters, right, guys? The second and third quarter in that game 1, where they're in the teens scoring, right? 15 and 17 points, respectively, for Orlando in that game against Cleveland. So, no disrespect to the Cavaliers. It's a quality basketball team, obviously. And when you've got the combination of Mobley, Allen, and Mitchell, and Strus, and these guys, they're going to, and obviously Garland, it's a solid foundation for this Cleveland team. But I think that it was more about the Magic losing that game the other night than about Cleveland winning it, despite the fact that I do have a lot of respect for the Cavaliers, here in the post-LeBron era, trying to, try to get their stamp back in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, Frank.
Donovan Mitchell is, the leader of the team. He's obviously going to take the majority of the shots. They're going to try to run that offense through him. I love the development of Garland over the last couple of years. I don't know if this team is like another piece away from really competing. I think it's just they won, like Chris is mentioning. It's like they won because of the things that they were able to accomplish, what the Magic weren't able to do or to execute. Again, a younger team not able to get it done. Yeah. Gary Harris, you can't have, like you said, you can't have Gary Harris play 33 minutes and not score. You've got to get something out of him. But I don't think either of these teams really scare me. I thought this game would have been closer. So I'm interested to see how the series goes going forward. I don't think either of these teams are a real threat to the Celtics, but I think that it's interesting.
Yeah.
You mentioned Donovan Mitchell. He looks like he's ready to close this series out already in game 2. 5 of 7 in the first quarter, 14 points, 2 assists, 6 rebounds. I mean, this guy's basically going to take Cleveland on his back and try to do something.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
He's the best player in the series, right? Like,
isn't he a free agent at the end of this year, though?
I don't know if he's a free agent. They're talking about trades,
something
and
like
stuff
that, right?
He might be restricted.
But I think he's also playing to just show off that what he can do, the type of things that he can do and carry a team if he has to. I mean, this isn't obviously the LeBron with Cleveland teams back in the day. Obviously, that's a big difference. I don't see Cleveland running away with the East and winning the championship, but I don't think that the Magic will probably even get one game in this series, man. I really don't. I just don't.
Quan,
I think they'll get a game.
Frank, the Orlando Magic guards outside of Jalen Suggs, who was 4 for 16, which is terrible, right? Were 0 for 6, 0 for 4, 0 for 7, and Joe Ingles 0 for 2. All those guards,
can't do that.
0 for whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they missed every shot. Yeah. All those guys who are guards on this team. I mean, are you kidding me? You don't have to be like an NBA expert or analyst to kind of break that down.
And what's that say about them?
Yeah.
It says they're a young team in their first game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is. But they need to do something here. But I think when they get back to Orlando, I think they could easily get at least one game in Orlando. Because when they go back to Orlando, they're going to have the crowd behind them. Yeah. The first time in the playoffs in a while. I think they definitely play much better when they go back to Orlando. Mm-hmm. And who knows? It's still, like I said, it's a 12-point game right now. They still have a chance to do something, but they need to make some moves quick. So, all right, moving on to the Knicks and the Sixers. Knicks take game 1. Joel Embiid looked like he was out for the series. He ended up coming right back after halftime, but I thought it was over. When he went out, I'm like, okay, Knicks in 4. But he ends up coming back, and, he played all right, but he still looked scared playing on that knee. Jose, what do you got in this series, and do you think Sixers tie it up tonight?
I liked Philly from the beginning. I told a lot of people when this series was already set up that you cannot sleep on this team, especially with Joel Embiid coming back. We saw what the Lakers did last year with a fresh, healthy LeBron James coming into the playoffs after getting some rest. They made it to the Western Conference Finals, made that run. I see that same style of play happening here with Joel Embiid. He's fresh, may not be healthy, guys. We know that. Everyone's complaining about, he's only 50%, doesn't matter. He's fresh. His presence, being there, I think is going to change it. Tyrese Maxey was a game-time decision today with an illness. He's a go. He's going to play. I think the 76ers can get one tonight in New York and even it up. I think this will be a 7-game series. This is the worst matchup that the Knicks wanted moving into the playoffs.
Yeah, they definitely didn't want this for a first-round matchup. To say Joel Embiid is fresh, when you're coming off an injury, you're never fresh. So I don't agree with that, because now he's not in game shape. And if you're not in game shape, that's not a good thing. But I do agree. I think Sixers tie it up tonight. And that's going to be bad for the Knicks. I think Knicks have to go up 2-0 to win this series, because if they go back to Philly, it's going to be a different story. But we'll see how Joel Embiid holds up, because, I think that's scary, seeing that he's not ready to land on that knee properly. And every time he jumps in his head, he's thinking, well, now I have to land. And you shouldn't have to think about landing.
Was it sutures or he had stitches or something like in his knee for the procedure? He was out for 6-7 weeks because they showed the blood. They showed blood in the bandage when he came back out on the court. There was blood leaking through on that wrap on his knee. So it was only a few weeks ago that was going on. They've got to keep him upright.
And is it possible when he got hurt there was fluid in there? Maybe they just cut him open and drain some of that fluid.
There's pressure. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
But Frank, who do you got in this game tonight? Philly is up 13-5 right now in the first.
I like the Knicks for the series. I think Philly is going to win tonight.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a back and forth type of thing. This could potentially be one of the better first round series. I think this is back and forth. Teams are pretty familiar with each other. I think the difference is going to be Brunson, and I love Josh Hart with all my heart. Oh. I love Josh Hart. So I'm interested to see how this series unfolds, and I think it's just going to be a lot of question marks. Tyrese Maxey has been playing out of his mind, and he's had a great year.
3 for 3 to start the game on 3 points. Crazy.
He's got 3 threes already. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a great back and forth series. But I've got the Knicks ultimately winning the series, but I've got the Sixers tonight.
All right, Chris
and Quan, I agree with Frank. I think this is the Knicks series to take, and I think they're coming back and winning this game tonight, guys. Yes, the Sixers were the best team that lost this past weekend when it came to the game ones of the series. They played the best out of the teams that lost. In that game, obviously Embiid ends up with just short of 30, and Maxey had the big time game, right, with over 30 in this game, despite the fact that they lost. When you take a look at the Knicks, right, we've just been lambasting a lot of these teams' benches, right, across the board. Can't do that with the New York Knicks, right? When they picked up Bogdanovich, obviously, from my Detroit Pistons,
that was huge
during the season, and he was a nice addition to that team. And of course, McBride had a solid game off the bench as well too, to go along with the Hart and Brunson combination of 44 they put up there. So I think this continues, and I think the NBA is very happy, obviously, when the New York Knicks are successful. The NBA is pumped because you have that market. Yeah. And I think that continues here in the first round.
And I mentioned Julius Randle going out might have been a good thing for them because they move the ball much better when Randle's not there. Because Randle, for some reason, will just try to dribble. You're the power forward. Move around. And he stops the ball a lot. And then he's triple teamed. He'll still try to shoot the ball. And I think that's, the flow of their game is much better without him. And does that mean they might trade him this offseason?
I think it depends on how far
you can get something for Julius
Definitely
Randle.
A possibility,
and
right?
If you beat Philly and move on to the second round, I think you have to look at it like,
I got your
we
trade
might
partner.
be better without him,
I got your trade partner already.
Who you got?
OKC. They've got a bunch of picks.
Yeah, but they run a lot. I'm just
they don't run. He doesn't like to run. Fair point.
And he could run, but I'm just saying, like he's a power forward that likes to hold
guys,
the ball.
They need somebody to just like punch everyone. That's not named Draymond.
Yeah,
they need a physical presence. Yeah, can keep Giddey out of.
And I like Julius Randle. I'm definitely a Julius Randle fan. There's things he does that stops the flow of the game a lot. I don't like that.
Fred, Quan, and Jose over here, they're probably not. They're probably secretly they're not happy that Julius Randle's not wearing Laker gear anymore.
I'm
going to throw that out there.
No, there was
they're
no
probably
way.
not too pumped about it.
There was no way he was going to work with LeBron. Yeah. They both hold the ball. They both do the same thing.
Hold on too much.
Where they hold the ball too much. I can only see that from someone that's in the top 5 GOAT conversation. I can't see that from a role player like Randle. I do like Randle a lot, but I'm not mad he's not there anymore. Because he hasn't really won a championship or anything when he left the Lakers. It'd be different if he led the Knicks to the championship, but nah. I'm not
I
mad
just,
about
I just
that.
like giving you guys a little ribbing
Yeah, no,
just a little bit.
I'm not worried.
on your Lakerdom. Yeah.
You're mad that Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas aren't there anymore.
Oh gosh, I love them so much.
Isaiah.
Dennis Rodman.
You got a good young
James
squad,
Edwards.
You got a good young
Buddha?
squad.
Kidding me?
And you got some draft picks.
Need a
Buddha.
coach.
Yes. And we got a young team. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Got to get more than 14 wins though.
All right, but we're talking about the playoffs. What's the other matchup in the East? Celtics
Celtics.
and Miami Heat. Without Jimmy Butler, there's zero chance. I don't think. I talked about New Orleans and OKC. None of those games are going to be over double digits. I don't think any of these games will be under a double-digit point win for the Celtics. I think they sweep them, and I think they win every game by at least 10. But I think it's going to be closer to 20 every game. I think, especially what they did to them last year, knocked the Celtics out when Celtics thought they were going back to the finals and going to win it this year, and they end up knocking them out. I think they just want to really put it to them and kill them.
They're cooked.
They're cooked.
Yeah.
We already know, right, guys?
Putting
When it
the
comes to a
heat
talent
out.
standpoint with Boston, they're loaded up, man. I mean,
Yeah.
let's just be honest about it. And it just pains me saying that, okay, as a team as someone that has absolutely zero love for the Celtics.
Well, getting Porzingis
yeah.
this offseason was huge.
I mean, from a talent standpoint, right,
Yeah.
Juan? I mean, it's crazy. You know, Jason Tatum goes for a triple-double. You know, Porzingis, 18.
Well,
you know,
Porzingis fits this team better than any other team he's been on. He doesn't have to be the 1 or 2. He's the 3 now.
Yeah.
And now he has so much freedom to just be himself and not have that pressure of you need to be the second best player on the team.
And then, oh, by the way, you toss in guys like White, who can put a 20 spot on you on occasion.
Yeah.
And you got Hauser going for double digits. You got Al Horford turning back the clock to what? 2013-ish?
Yeah, looking
You know what
good.
I mean? And Peyton Pritchard, chipping in every
Yeah.
now and then. So,
They
like,
got a
it's
squad, bro.
Yeah, it's tough.
They do.
And the one thing I'll say about Porzingis that you mentioned, he doesn't even have to be the number 3 guy because they have so many other guys on that starting line and coming off of the bench that can step up and play when needed. So I think his season this year has just been probably the most easy for him to just focus and play ball because everywhere he's been, is he the guy? Is he going to help us win? Is he going to be the guy that's going to take us to the next step? As we're now, they already have those guys. They just need someone to come in and play ball and help them get past that hump. Boston is looking really, really good right now. I'm a Laker fan. I hate to say that. I think they truly run away with the East. I don't see anybody else in the East that's going to contend with them. They're just looking way too good. It's their time. I think Jason Tatum is on a whole nother level right now, bro. His mindset, he's just not even caring about individual accolades anymore. I think it's more about the team and getting that championship for Boston. I like Eric Spoelstra, great coach. I just don't know if he's going to be able to make these adjustments in this series and try to get a win at all.
It's going to be tough. Celtics they've got the depth. I don't know if Tatum is a superstar, but he's on the verge of superstardom. And then you mentioned the Zinger, of course, and Jalen and the bench, the role players. They're tough. They're going to be really hard out. I mean, I think that I agree with Jose. I think they're going to run away with the East, and then we'll see what happens if they've got to play the giant invisible man from Denver in the finals.
And everybody,
Giant
who
invisible
everyone
man.
forgot about? Marcus Smart.
Oh,
He left this offseason, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's the heart and soul of the team, right? And then they go and get Drew Holiday, who's a much better version and who's a defensive, he's killing it right now for the Celtics. Like, that's a huge pickup.
Olympian Drew Holiday.
But if you guys want to mention a couple positive things about the Miami Heat, there are a couple positives, right, in this series. You like what
Great
you get out of
weather.
Wright off the bench. And,
Great
of course,
weather.
Jaquez Jr. Come on.
Hockey.
that
I mean, he's already in
kid's
commercials and everything
He looks
like
like
that.
he's solidified himself as an NBA guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're the Heat, I get you want to look glass half full. You know what
Listen,
I mean?
Miami drafts
Bring those
really
up.
well.
Yeah.
They got Tyler Hero when nobody thought he was going to be much in the NBA, and he ended up killing it in preseason. Everyone's like, maybe we should have picked this guy. And same thing, man. He's already in commercials.
Yeah.
They're already trying to make him a star. So, I mean, I think they definitely have things to look forward to. But losing Jimmy Butler, I was so upset when he went out because I knew they were going to move on either in that round or I didn't think they were going to move on when they lost against the Bulls. I don't think the Bulls wanted to play the Celtics. They're like, do we go home now or we go home in 4 games?
Yeah, that playing game surprised me. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I didn't.
Like,
I think. I really think that was in their mind. Like, do we really want to win this game for what? To play the Celtics and get embarrassed? But yeah, I don't know. That Jimmy Butler loss was huge. And even if they win this series somehow, he's probably still not going to be back for the next series. So, I mean, Miami's done.
You still got stars on that team, but not enough to take over Boston.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
you need Jimmy Butler there to have a chance. Because I don't think Miami had a chance anyways. Maybe mentally from what happened last year, they're in their heads a little bit, but I don't think so. Grant Williams isn't there anymore. And that's the one that kind of messed things up for them by talking junk to Jimmy Butler in the first place. It's a much different team. I think they're focused. And I'm not sold on them being a shoo-in for the East.
Okay.
I think Philly and New York can, do some stuff with them, but they're the only teams I think that have a chance to do anything at all against Boston. They're not, whoever wins this Cleveland Orlando series, they're the ones that play the one, and they have no chance. At all.
I think it is the Bucks. If they get back, if they can get Giannis back to somewhere near 100%, then maybe the Bucks could give the Celtics a run. But I agree with Jose. I think it's not very intriguing to think about the Eastern Conference when it comes to the NBA playoffs this year, because I think the Celtics should win it.
And let's move to that series real quick, because the Bucks and the Pacers, no Giannis. Pacers have owned Milwaukee all year with Giannis. And they get blown out in game one. Were they just not ready for the playoffs? What happened to Indiana in this game? Because I'm telling you, I was shocked. I thought for sure Indiana takes game one. And I thought it'd be the other way where Indiana ends up blowing them out, even though it is in Milwaukee. I was shocked.
A very strange set of events, because you have Dame Time having 35 points in the first half and 0 in the second half. Doesn't score at all. With regards to the Pacers, again, Siakam had a good game. He played pretty well.
Yep.
They're not getting the production that they could have had. I don't know what the mental makeup is for you saying, like, well, we could take advantage of some stuff right now. Why don't we push for it? Because the Pacers have played the Bucks well all year. I don't know why they wouldn't be trying to push to try to gain some type of advantage. This is going to be a very interesting series. I think the Pacers are going to play them closer for the next game. Ultimately, I think the Bucks will pull this out, but I'm not 100% sure yet.
I think it was kind of a slap in the face for someone like Tyrese Halliburton, because he didn't even show up for that game.
Yeah.
That's the guy that they need to show up. Obviously, Siakam did what he did, but you need both of those guys to show up.
9 points.
Yeah, and when you basically handled Milwaukee with no problems throughout the regular season, only lost one game, I believe, this was a horrible game to watch, man. To be honest with you, I expected a whole lot more from Indiana. I expected this game to be a lot more closer than it was. 15-point loss is unacceptable, especially when you have your best player out in Milwaukee with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Honestly, you can't sleep on Dame. We get that. He's still a superstar in this league. Yeah. We know when he's on, he can do what he did. But you need a lot more productivity from Tyrese Halliburton. Not only that, coaching. Coaching has to come into play. When your superstar isn't doing nothing, what adjustments are you going to make and use the rest of that guys on your team and on your bench? I didn't see that happening in this game either. So I think Tyrese has to step up, and we have to see better coaching from Indiana as well.
And I think the blowout was actually good for Indiana. First game in the playoffs. They went in there maybe a little overconfident. We've owned this team all year. Yeah, you might be They're right. Without Giannis. Yep. I think you see a much different game next game, and Giannis is still not going to be there. And I think Indiana takes game 2.
I can see that.
I think they needed that to kind of humble themselves, because they were a little cocky talking about this series. So the coach was not happy at the end of the game. So I think you're going to see a totally different game.
Yeah, the Pacers, Neesmith and Nembhard, just no-shows basically in this game. You talked about Tyrese Halliburton. Quan, Halliburton, if he would have had a triple-double in this game, it would have been the worst triple-double in the history of the NBA. Right? He's right there.
Yeah.
He had like 9
points.
He
almost got that.
8-7. If he would have had triple-double, they would have lost. Yeah. And he would have been killed for it. But that being said, I mean, to me, I think this is a series where, you guys know, in the NBA, home court advantage can be a factor, right? Mm-hmm. And so you guys are talking about how Indiana's going to come in and win game 2. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, that is a solid home court advantage there in Milwaukee in that new building that they have there for the Bucks. So I think that was something that also contributed to it. Of course, Frank alluded to, going for 35 for Damian Lillard in the first half. That probably had something to do with setting the tone in that game 1 for the Bucks winning that basketball game. But that being said, I do think that Indiana's the better basketball team without Giannis on the floor for the Bucks. but it's just a question mark as to whether or not Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to get in the series and how effective he'll be.
Yeah.
And
Vinny said you can't game plan like that during the regular season. Playoffs is different. You need to focus on one team at a time, and yeah, that's real.
They forgot to focus on the team in front of them.
Halliburton is not going to have another 9-point game.
No, I don't think so. No.
That's not going to happen.
This guy was talked about being a superstar, right, Quan and Jose, throughout the season. You know, he made the appearances in the play-in tournament here in Vegas.
He's one of the guys they've been
Everybody's
talking
like,
about
he's the
all
next
year.
guy. He's
Bro,
the next
he's already
superstar.
getting paid. Have you seen
Yeah.
his house and things? Like it's insane, bro.
So you got to expect him to step up.
He'll wake up. We hope.
And that's one of the most fair trades I've ever seen in NBA history. Because he fits Indiana very well, and Sabonis fits Kings very well. That was a great trade.
So
for both teams.
Sabonis with Fox and that system over there in Sacramento is great. It's been working great. Yeah,
usually a trade is always one-sided on somewhere when you're trading stars and all-stars. That was a great trade. But yeah, man, I still have Indiana winning this series. I just don't think Milwaukee has enough if Giannis isn't going to be, if he's going to miss more games, they don't have it. And when Giannis comes back, what is he going to be? You know? Who you guys got in the series?
I got Indiana, but I think it all depends on tomorrow night's game. I think that obviously if they lose tomorrow, they're in trouble. You never want to go down 0-2. But I'm with Quan. I think Indiana can still find a way to come back and win this series.
I'm going to take the Bucks because I think that Giannis does come back into the mix and does contribute something. And I'm thinking, obviously, for my logic, that it's going to be enough that's going to keep them over the top and be able to win this series.
Yeah.
I think Halliburton produces more tomorrow, and they just get better overall. This is a team that led the association in scoring this year, and they were number one in field goal percentage this year, speaking about the Pacers. So this is a team that they number one in assist to turnover ratio. Mm-hmm. So this is a team that if they show they're more efficient, Halliburton shows up, and again, you can't put up 9.
Yeah.
They've got to produce. I think that they'll ultimately, I think they're going to win tomorrow. I think they win the series. I think they'll advance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Natalie said hi.
Hi, Natalie.
Natalie, what's up?
Natalie, your Knicks are losing right now. And yeah. Why'd you call? You called me, so let me know why you called. I will not be going to Circa if that's where you're about.
All right,
doing
one more series left.
They're doing the watch party for Knights.
Oh, are they?
Are you guys going
tonight?
to the pool? You know, Circa does that all the time. They got all
That's
the TVs
actually awesome,
out there.
isn't it? Up there,
I'm
yeah.
going home. But
I
that
just
pool is
came from a
nice.
pool
I stayed
before
there
the show. I was at the
Nice.
Strat pool
Okay.
for lunch. A buddy of mine had a little soiree going on there.
Have you been to Atomic Golf yet?
I have not.
I want to check that.
It looks like it's pretty cool though.
And goodbye.
Yeah.
Bye, Natalie.
Goodbye.
Yeah, I want to go. It's it's Top Golf, but with a different name.
Definitely.
You can't take the name. It's like what Facebook does, right? They just copy something and
That's it.
create it.
Social media.
That's it. Perfect.
All right, last series we have what
There,
series?
it's in your building, gentlemen. It's in the same building. They play in the same building your guys is playing.
Oh, Clippers.
Clippers
in
Mavericks.
Dallas. I expected Dallas to win this game without Kawhi. I still don't trust the Clippers. Clippers are going to clip.
Clippers gone.
Clippers are going to keep
Dallas
clip. Is that what they're going to do?
Yeah, Dallas just did not play good yesterday at all, and they still try to make a comeback in the second half. I think with all, Kyrie looked good in the third. I think he outscored their whole second half in the third quarter alone, or came close to it. He had 20 something in the third quarter, and they only had 30 in the whole first half. But they need to play. They need to shoot much better. They couldn't hit any shots at all. Luka just kept jacking up threes. They were all missing. So he needs those shots to go down. I think it's going to be a close series. I think this is definitely a 6 or 7 game series. I don't think we're going to see anybody get bounced out early in this. I think we see Dallas go into the next game and win game 2. Kyrie and Luka are going to play much better. And, Harden's going to be Harden.
I think Dallas comes back and wins this series as well. I liked them from the beginning before the game started. If you think about it, the second quarters will really kill them guys, 22-8. only 8 points in the second quarter, but then outscore them by 14 points in the second half. Dallas figured something out in that second half, I believe, and I think that that's going to translate into game 2. I don't see them having issues anymore, but yes, Luka can't be shooting up 12 3-pointers and going 4 for 12. You got to have better shot selection than that. You got to move the ball around and get some of the other guys involved. You can't just have 2 guys having all your scoring. Granted, it's going to come from Kyrie and Luka, we know that, but you got to do a lot more to get more guys involved. But the way they finished that game, third and fourth quarter, especially the fourth quarter, they outscored them by 11 points. Even though they lost that game, I still think Dallas figured something out. They could come back and win the series.
Yeah.
I'm on the other side, Frank. I'm going with the Clippers here. I'm going against these 2 guys. I'm thinking, look, Paul George, solid game in game 1. How about Zubac? Zubac dropping a little 20 and 15 in game 1 in this game, being a factor.
He was dominating, to be honest.
Yeah, with Kawhi Leonard out.
Yeah.
And and Quan, you talked about obviously the likes of Luka and Kyrie. I mean, they scored 64 points among them, and nobody else did anything else on the team in game 1. So I don't know how much better you're going to get, right, if you're Kyrie or Luka in this series. And then obviously, the same thing when we talked about the Milwaukee Bucks. What is Kawhi Leonard going to bring to the table, right? Is he going to be a factor in the series at all? And if not, well, I mean, it's clearly evident, right, that the Clippers can still win without him.
Yeah.
And I expect you're going to need more out of Coffee and some of these other pieces, right? And Powell and Plumlee off the bench, but Russell Westbrook, if he's in double digits off the bench, that's going to be a good thing for the Clippers. And Terrence Mann should be able to contribute as well too, to go along with James Harden putting up his numbers, because James Harden is James Harden. He's going to put up his numbers. So, to me, I think. Again, I use the term, which team do I think is a better basketball team? Yeah. I think that the Clippers are just better than the Dallas Mavericks in the situation. That's why I would probably lean in that direction.
All right.
Like experience, you mean? It's like they're a team made up of like misfit toys. It feels like Harden is, he has a jersey retired in a strip club.
Does he now?
Westbrook is a nut. Everybody what was he doing? The fashion show, and he's wearing all his outfits and whatever. And they're talking about that. They are a very interesting collection of people. Kawhi doesn't speak. Yes. Paul George is, actually, he's pretty calm. Actually, for the most part, he's probably the most normal guy, chill dude of the 4. The winner of this series is probably going to be in the Western Conference Finals. You think about the Mavericks-Clippers winner will probably beat the Thunder, I would think, just based off of their overall talent and experience level, right? So, I mean...
Or Pelicans, either one of those.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm just saying, I think that the Clippers... their overall experience, and maybe they're just tired of being, the butt of everybody's jokes, and maybe they overcome that a little bit.
Never.
I thought the Mavericks were a dangerous team
until
going
they're the Inglewood Clippers. It's not happening.
The Inglewood Clippers with that big. I don't know that they've shown the sketches of the arena that they're going to be moving.
The arena
into
looks dope.
They took the Lakers' old backyard. That's all they did.
That's right.
The arena looks dope.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to say the future plans for the Clippers aside. I think that the Clippers are going to ultimately, they're going to win this next game. I still think the Mavericks are going to win in 7.
Hey, okay.
Just because Luka and Kyrie, I think they're difference makers. I trust them more than I trust the crazy of the Clippers.
Okay.
I'm just believing, Quan, that they can actually. This is a hot take. This is a C-win hot take. I have them going to the finals out of the West.
I'm out.
That's my hot take. And I'm well aware, Quan.
The Clippers.
Quan, I'm well aware, and Frank and Jose, I'm well aware of the Danny Manning, the Mo Taylor, the frickin' Keith Kloss pass that is the Clippers.
Lamont
in which
Murray,
they don't do
Eric
anything.
Piatkowski,
Michael Olowokandi,
Eric
Ron Harper, Mark Jackson.
You know the names of all the teams
Chris
that
Kaman,
are awful.
Billy Crystal.
Yes. Billy Crystal fan. Billy Crystal fan number 1. And the other guy that was on the kids show, right?
Yeah,
what was that kid's name that was on the kids show? That's a Clipper fan?
Yeah.
The young guy, Frankie Munez.
How about Clipper Darrell? How about Clipper Darrell? Don't let forget
Frankie Munez,
Clipper Darrell.
I think Clipper I think he got kicked out a long time ago.
Clipper Darrell got booted, didn't he?
Yeah.
I saw him at Summer. We saw him at Summer League.
Oh, that's
last
right.
couple of years.
Yeah,
He's
that
hanging
was
out.
Summer League Daryl.
Yeah,
Summer League
Darrell.
Nice.
But yeah, the Clippers. Yeah, they're the stepchild to the Lakers. We know that.
So here's
But I
the
think
problem,
they
though.
change
If
it this
Clippers
year.
get to the finals, what's going to happen is 2 of their players get injured and are out all series, and it's going to be a boring final series. I don't trust them going all the way to the finals with James Harden not disappearing in one of these series. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George not breaking a kneecap. Come on, Russell Westbrook not breaking a backboard with some layups.
It's like the movie with Vince Vaughn. He's talking to John Favreau. He's like, Quan, you're thinking of all the wrong things here, all right? Your head's in the wrong space. You're thinking of all the negative things, bro. Think about the positives that could happen.
The Clippers.
What if Kawhi Leonard comes back and is dropping 20 and 15? What if James Harden straightens his act out?
And listen,
Kawhi had his run, bro.
You said he disappears in a series, right? What if he shows up in every series, guys?
Kawhi is the greatest magician in the history of the NBA.
James Harden. What if he shows up in every series?
I'm like, Kawhi hasn't shown up yet.
No. What if James Harden shows up in every series, guys?
He never.
That's a what if, though. That's a big what if.
Terrence Mann turns into a into a superstar.
Superman?
Yeah.
Into a Superman?
Into a superstar. At that two-guard position.
Yeah. I don't know what.
What if
you smoked outside. But listen, I think Laker fans. Yeah. They never want Clippers to win, but if they win next year, it'd be like, okay, cool. We don't want them winning the first year
at our spot
or their last year at Staples Center.
Okay. Yeah. No,
definitely don't want that to happen.
When you go to your
that would be like a slap. Like, bye.
Yeah,
here's our chip.
But then we're going out the door and going down the road. Yeah.
But then they still wouldn't be able to hang a banner in Staples Center.
But here's what I'm curious, though. You guys have seen, you're a Laker fan. You've seen the parades. I've been to the parades. I've seen the thousands
They
and
had
thousands
a parade
of people
when they
that
won the second game in the Western Conference Finals
with
one
Blake
year.
Griffin, right?
Yeah, they had a parade for the Clippers for that win.
I'm so curious to see if and when they do ever win a championship, what the show out would be. How many fans would really be there? Like,
you
there's
would see
no way.
A lot of fake fans,
right?
I'll tell you that
where
right
would
now,
they do it?
LA's going to have a party still.
Where would they do it? The Lakers do it in LA and downtown.
They would go down
because that's
where
the team
was. Yeah. They're going to get a lot of people coming from San Diego who say
maybe do the parade from LA to San Diego.
Yeah.
Do you know any
Tell them never to come back.
Tell them never to come back. Do you know any Clipper fans? I know one.
I know one actually at work. Yes, I know one.
I know a few like only on Facebook.
But you know why they're Clipper fans?
None in real life.
They're not legitimate Clipper fans. They're a fan of a player that's now on the Clippers. Does that make sense? Like I have a huge buddy. Okay. He's a Laker fan now, but he doesn't like the Lakers. He's just a LeBron guy. He's always followed LeBron his whole career.
All the ones I know are people that are poor and they couldn't afford Laker tickets, so they got those $15 2-for-1 tickets.
The jerseys are at Ross. You know what I mean? 10, 15 bucks.
Ross. The jerseys.
I'll say emphatically right now, and I've worked in radio here in Vegas for a long time, I don't know any Clipper fans. I know zero. So
I only know one.
I don't know anybody that's Clipper fan.
And all the ones I know are from Cali. Like they're friends I have in California.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't want the Clippers to win anything. I mean, I kind of see what Quan's saying, that once they leave the building, they got their own spot. It'll be a little bit different. I'm from LA, so of course, I no matter who wins, I think winning a championship is great for the city. Obviously, I'm not going to root for the Clippers, but if they win it, it's good for the city. You bring in more chips to LA, title town, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? So I'm okay with that part, but not.
I don't really have a problem with it.
But I think they're going to be called Inglewood Clippers by all Laker fans.
Always.
Moving forward.
They should change the name to that. Why not? It's a cool name.
I think that'd be dope.
Yeah.
They should change it to Inglewood Thoroughbreds.
LA just has a way bigger
because Hollywood Park is
marketable name.
Nice.
But I'm still going with Dallas to win this series. I love Luka. I love Kyrie. This is the team I wouldn't mind seeing win the championship this year. And I wouldn't hate Clippers winning. I mean, I like their players. Westbrook, I wouldn't mind seeing him get a ring. He's won MVPs.
You used to talk highly about Westbrook a lot throughout the years, I remember before.
I did?
Yeah.
I can't stand
Not in a way where you thought he was a great player or anything,
play.
But there was a lot of people that always criticized him about a lot of certain things, and you would always kind of have his back from time to time.
Russell Westbrook plays hard all the time. Like, even with the Lakers, he was playing 82 games while LeBron and AD were sitting out 25 of those, So he's a hardworking guy. I just think he doesn't have like the brightest basketball mind in the world. He just does some really.
He plays so hard. Back when he was a Thunder, he played so hard. He thought every time he was just going to run through a wall.
Yeah.
And I like what the Mavs have on their bench too. They got some key guys that can help out on that bench. You like Derek Lively, although some of these guys didn't have a great game one, but Kleber and Hardaway obviously, and Lively, and Dante Exum as well too are key guys for them if they're going to be successful moving forward.
Yeah, and Dante, we didn't think we would see him in the NBA anymore, so shout out to him. Let's move on real quick to the NHL playoffs and do some picks because we haven't done Stanley Cup playoff picks. But Golden Knights played a night. You guys have been covering the Knights. You guys have been there. And miraculously, like every playoff season, Mark Stone's back, Petrangelo's back, and Carrier's back.
Miraculously.
All guys that
Use
were
the
on
word,
long-term-
Jose.
All back for
You heard
Haney.
it probably earlier
And he's
today.
100% right.
Long-term injury.
Long-term injury
Long-term
reserve.
injury, and they all are back on
All are
game
back.
one.
Isn't it crazy how that works out like that?
And not only that, think about this. Petrangelo was out for a minute, but nothing about his injury was ever spoke about.
Right.
People were in the dark. Now it comes out he had appendicitis or whatever it was that he had surgery
Something
for.
like
Whatever
that.
it was.
Yeah, but appendicitis, I know a lot of people with appendicitis.
Exactly. Why keep it
get
quiet?
You get it cut open, they pull it out, they throw it in the trash, they sew you back up, you go back to work 2 days later.
yeah.
It was.
What's interesting about this series, though, right, guys, is that you got a team that
Dr. Kwan.
that wins the Western Conference.
That's
right?
exactly how you do it appendicitis.
You got a team. Appendicitis all over the place. I love it when the appendicitis be coming around.
Sew it
But
up real quick.
it's
Appendicitis?
the thing about this series, though, right, guys, is that you got the number one team in the West, and here, by the way, you get the defending Stanley Cup champions in the first round of playoffs, who's probably, and I'm not even being like a biased, media member that covers the team, they're probably the best number 8 seed in NHL history. I mean, if we're being honest about it, when everybody's healthy for the Golden Knights, they're the best number 8 seed. So it creates that kind of intrigue in this series, but not an easy task for the Dallas Stars having to take on a Vegas Golden Knights team. I mean, you don't know what you're gonna get out of Mark Stone in his first game back in weeks, right?
Well,
I mean,
we
it's gotta be
said
tough.
that last year, right?
Yeah,
And then he didn't look great in game one,
yeah.
and then looked great the rest of the playoffs. So, I mean,
And you mentioned it. It's probably the best wild card team or team in the playoffs right now. And if we're talking about this team built, this is the most talented roster in the playoffs right now, or probably ever as a wild card. But the biggest question is the health. Who's coming back? The camaraderie. What are the lines going to be, Chris? We see the line movements, the shifts, what Bruce has done with this team, right? To try to figure out who plays. You brought in Manta. You brought in all these other players.
Thomas Hertl and
Tomas
Stone play
Hertl,
together.
which is stepping up. Tomas has been stepping up since he came back,
he's-
scored a few goals, doing his thing. He's looking better.
listen,
But-
he used to kill us. I hated Thomas Hurdle until he
But now we
came
got him.
over,
As did most Golden Knight fans, right? When it came to that.
But when we got him, we're like, okay,
pickup.
yeah, we got somebody that we hated him because he was so good against us.
And here's the thing, though. The biggest issue is going to be between the pipes, Chris. And guys, that's what I think. Last year, we had the luxury of having guys that were able to step up and play great during the playoffs, right?
But we
The
didn't
whole
know that was
goaltend-
gonna happen that
Correct.
way.
But the
Yeah.
goaltender situation didn't end up being an issue
Right.
for Bruce. As we're this year, last game of the season, before the game started, he comes out and says, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know if I'm going to give the bulk of the load to one guy or shuffle it around. It comes out today. Logan Thompson's the starter. Might be the starter moving forward for the whole playoffs. Who knows? I think overall the team is going to be fine because you got the right guys coming back. It's a matter of setting up the lines the right way. But the goaltending situation this year for the Knights, Chris, and guys, it scares me. It truly does. I don't know what we're going to get from either Logan or Aiden and who's going to be the one that's going to step up and be the better goalie.
And
Logan has
yeah.
been the better goalie. I hate that they keep trying to force Hill in there, and I think they've only been doing it because of how much he gets paid.
Yeah.
But they haven't give Logan Thompson, let him play 5 or 6 games in a row to see what you really have in him. He was the better, he was an all-star last year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And he got hurt, and they just haven't given him the playing time. But Hill does not look the same at all. And I think it would be better to just play Logan, make him the starter. But I think they're going to go back and forth. And I think that might hurt the Knights. I think they need to stick with one of them.
Well, here's the thing, too, Frank Wright, when you talk about the goaltending situation.
Frank
Frank Wright.
Yeah, I know, I threw that out there, right? Backup quarterbacks all over the place. But like Jose was talking about the scenario as far as having it all set, right, going into the playoffs. That was the case, obviously, last year with Laurent Brossoit was the guy who was the starter, right? And he gets hurt. So essentially, Aiden Hill gets thrown in there. It wasn't like Aiden Hill, we were like, oh, yeah. We were expecting to win a Stanley Cup.
Dude, when
with Aiden Hill.
Brossoit went
He just
out,
went
we were
out-
like, oh,
he
great.
went out
I
and
was
won,
scared,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. He was just happened to be that guy that
Yeah.
had to, as Jose said, step up, right, and step up to the plate. And he did do that. So obviously it's a pleasant surprise for all Vegas Golden Knights fans and the Knights themselves. But this year's different because you're going into the playoffs with, oh, you know what? We got our number one guy. And he's going to be our number one guy. But we still have Aiden Hill here in our back pocket, even though as to what Quan alluded to, it was hilarious, bro. Going into the last game of the season against the Anaheim Ducks, you still had people in the media and fans saying, oh, if Aiden Hill plays great in this last game of the season, they might start him in game one. And I'm like, What are you talking about? They're not going to make a decision in one game, and then of course Aiden Hill goes out there and gives up an easy, a terrible goal in the first goal of that game against Anaheim. They lost the game, but
gives up a hat trick to Valerano.
But that wasn't the reason why he
Crazy,
wasn't going to start. I think they had already made the decision. Sean Burke and Bruce Cassidy, who was going to be the number one guy. But the point being is that's probably something to that as far as having solidified, knowing what you're going to be dealing with. From a goaltending standpoint going into the series.
The momentum, I think they'll gain a little bit of confidence as we go along, as they're playing together as this goes along.
Wait, real quick, Frank.
Yes, sir.
This dude has been in Dallas for less than a year, and he's already a Dallas Stars fan.
What is going on over there?
Sam, you got to settle down.
Dallas. Sammy, what are you doing to me?
Here's a quick note
Wait a
for you
minute,
guys,
time out.
which is crazy.
What's his background? What are we talking about, though? He was in Vegas for like 15 years.
Oh,
he
more
moved
than that.
to Dallas, and now he's a Stars fan?
Chicago guy.
Okay, so he should be a Blackhawk fan then, right?
Well, he admits he's a bandwagon fan, so
He just jumps around from team to team. The one thing I was going to say was crazy if you guys think about this too.
Let Frank keep.
Go,
No, I was
sorry,
just going to say
sorry.
real quick is that the momentum it can build a little bit as you're mentioning. Logan Thompson is learning to play better as we go along, and then they have not played well at home.
Yeah.
The fact that they have to start multiple series on the road could bode well for them because they've always seemed to be a little bit more effective when they play on the road, and they don't have to rely so much on the home crowd and everything. The teams that how they're bracketed, okay, they play the Colorado Winnipeg winner. No, is that right? They play Colorado or Winnipeg in the next round if they
That's
advance.
probably the setup. Yeah, I don't have the.
Yeah, I'm not
the-
sure
I
exactly.
think that's how it works. Winnipeg looks like a freaking machine, but it feels like we have to go through some like a particular gauntlet if we're able to survive through these couple rounds. The other half, to me, I think they just gain more confidence. Plus, you can't deny what did Rudy T say? Don't ever deny the
Don't ever underestimate the heart of the champion. Get another vodka.
don't deny
Allegedly.
that. Okay?
Allegedly.
He's chomping down his Marlboros and his scotches and everything else. I think
He might
that
have
as
just
they
been
move
punch-drunk
along,
from,
he might from decades before.
Yeah.
I think that they gain confidence as they go along, and I think that they're gonna be back in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, in the conference finals.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
I think they'll be all right. I really do. I think they can make a run. Winning the chip again, I'm not going to say that because we don't want to throw any salt on anything here or give them bad luck. But
I
crazy
guarantee
thing.
they're going to win back to
Don't
back.
do that. Don't do that.
Pat Riley over here.
But hey, but here's the thing.
Next year.
6 of the 7 years that the Knights have been in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Who have they played against or played with?
Pete DeBoer.
Pete DeBoer.
The guy's
He's been a part
behind
of
the bench
every
either in
Knights
Vegas
playoffs,
or
whether
somewhere
against
else.
them or
Yeah.
with them. Now, another thing too, a lot of conversation
crazy.
and chatter was you were at the last game, Chris. Oh my God, horrible loss to the Ducks. Is this going to sting them? Is this going to be a problem moving forward? We were in the locker room. We saw the interviews. We saw the chatter. They were playing for Jonathan Marchessault that night. They wanted to get
to
him
get
that
him to
goal.
score.
That's all it was. They weren't focused on anything else. And I think at the end of the day, they also knew Dallas is probably a better matchup than us having to go somewhere else right now.
It would have been Edmonton.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the fact that
We
they
don't
have
want
to
them
play
in the
Dallas
first round.
first is better.
What's hilarious, Quan and Frank, we were in the locker room after the game.
Oh, what?
The focus was all on that Kings and Blackhawks game because it was going to determine whether or not the Golden Knights were going to play
Right.
in Edmonton or play in
Dallas.
Dallas. And there's all the speculation that the Kings, they wanted to lose too because they didn't want to play a certain opponent. So the whole thing was kind of crazy at the end of the game. And to Jose's point, it wasn't about beating the Ducks in the final game.
Yeah, exactly.
It was more about getting Marchessault the scoring record, or just getting through the game with everybody healthy, right?
yeah.
With not getting anybody hurt at all, so that you could go into the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I mean, I kind of asked the question in the post after the game, but it wasn't really something that was really imperative, and that's how much of effect would this have on you guys losing a game like this? And there was no effect. I mean, to me, it wasn't. It was just about moving on to the next phase, which was the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they knew, I mean, going into that, like you said, they knew they were in the playoffs either way. And I think they do. I mean, what was the season series? We beat Dallas all 3 games. I think we only played 3.
And they whacked them like 6-2 the
Yeah,
last time
we
they
beat
played
them every game this year. We beat them in the Western Conference Finals last year. The confidence level is high going into this series, and I think it is a better matchup to get Stone back, to get all these players back, than having to go into Edmonton and play them on their home ice. Edmonton's a really good team, and I think they're that's the team that's the only team I'm scared of. in the West.
And a fun fact too, guys, is every team right in the Stanley Cup playoffs. A lot of teams in the NBA playoffs, right? Home teams won. In the Stanley Cup playoffs, 6-0 because the Vancouver Canucks came back from that. They're down 2-1 that game, came back to 1-3-2, which I had the Canucks, so I was happy from my pocketbook standpoint. But the point being is that every team has won, so the Golden Knights are going to look to be one of those teams that becomes a visiting team that actually knocks off one of these home squads in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
And they had a decent home record, not the best, but everything is on fire during the playoffs.
The series has it. They haven't. They're playing game one. What's the other series that hasn't started yet? Is the Kings and the Oilers?
Kings Oilers.
Yeah, that's
at 7 o'clock. Yep. The one thing
both those games are at the same time. So luckily, I have 4 TVs in here because I'm going to need all of them.
You'll be able to watch them all. Nights are at 6:30. Nights are at 6:30.
Isn't the Laker playoff game?
Lakers
Nights are at the same time, right?
I'll probably have Golden Knights on the big TV, Lakers in the middle, and then Kings over there, and then the other. What's the other NBA game tonight?
It's Cleveland and Orlando, right?
And then the Knicks are playing the Sixers.
That's it. It's only 3 games.
There's only 3 games?
There's only 3 games tonight.
Yeah, Lakers are the next one up. I just want to say something real quick. You and I were in the locker room that last game. Mm-hmm. Quickest media scrum I've ever seen.
So fast, guys.
William Karlsson, 3 questions, I'm out. Jack Eichel, 3 questions, I'm out. If we're talking about focus and this team being ready, I think that showed you more than anything that they were just focused, ready. Season's over. Let's get this going. That's why I don't see them going into this series with any, baggage or we lost this game the way we. No, I think they've been focused even before going into that game against Anaheim. They were just ready to get it over with. So I think they'll be all right, man. It's going to be a fun series to watch for the Golden Knights for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Kwan just said it, moving on, turning the page. That's exactly what the Golden Knights did after that game, the final regular season game. It was all about let's move on and defend our championship. And to wrap up my take on this, Vegas Golden Knights, they've got the talent to get there, right? They definitely have the talent.
Sure.
I don't know if I'm going to go as far as Frank went, as far as thinking they're going to go to the Western Conference Finals. I think they absolutely have the talent to do it. But there's just a lot of good hockey clubs that are playing in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Again, Captain Obvious take by me, but there's just a lot of other teams that are hungry and looking to impress. So
who do you like in the West, though?
In the West, I do like the Edmonton Oilers. I really do. I think Edmonton, from a firepower standpoint, is probably the most explosive team in the West. Vancouver is intriguing because now they have Demko back, their goaltender, who they didn't have for a while. And he's a huge part of their of that team's confidence level. When he plays well, that's a team that could be dangerous. Obviously, they have stars both on the blue line and up front too as well. So those are the 2 teams, and then the Avalanche is the 3rd team that I would look at and say, okay, and that's.
And I'm not scared of the Avalanche. I don't know what it is about them. I just don't.
Quan. They've got big time players,
but I don't think they're going to win this series. So I don't think we're going to have to worry about them.
Yeah,
Vancouver's a fun story.
Well, Frank said it right. The Winnipeg Jets looked damn good yesterday.
Yeah,
bro.
And Kyle Connor is one of the more underrated hockey players in the NHL. The guy's a superstar. Okay, and people don't really talk about him. So Vancouver's going to be dangerous, but.
Division winners.
Winnipeg's gonna be dangerous.
No, but Vancouver, first time that it won the division, 30 years.
Yeah,
they won the division.
Yeah,
bro, their odds to make the playoffs this year. I forgot what it was. A buddy of mine bet it. Were just absolutely sick. So think about it. If you hit that, you're already hedging throughout the playoffs because you're waiting to get them. It's insane, bro. But I like Vancouver in the West. I think Vancouver, obviously being biased aside from the Knights, I think Vancouver can come out of the West and make some noise. They had a great year, and like you stated, got your guy back. You got your goaltender back now, right? Got him back at the right time when it matters the most. So I think Vancouver could be the scariest team in the West, in my opinion.
Quan, you know who reminds me, the Vancouver Canucks remind me of this year? It's the Vegas Golden Knights last year. That's what they remind me of. They're kind of that, no one had the Vegas Golden Knights to win the Stanley Cup last year.
I did.
I mean, you did?
Quan has his teams to win every year. Come on now.
Yeah,
He's Quanstradamus. You don't know that?
Quanstradamus.
I did. Quanstradamus all day long. Rest in peace, Paul Mooney.
Hey,
Paul Mooney.
I got Knights in 5 in this series against Dallas.
Oh, okay. You get
Knights
Dallas
in
again.
5.
Where does Dallas get that game? At home or on the road?
They'll get one at home.
Okay.
That's pretty much domination, though, right, Quan?
Yeah, we're going to dominate Dallas.
You're expecting just
dominating
laying
Dallas
to waste. Yeah.
So who do you think will be the game changer, though? Who do you think will be the top player on this team in this series? Or let me change that. Who do you think needs to be the guy that needs to step up aside from the superstars?
Say it, Quan. Say it, the guy that just got. Say it. Say it. Say it. Say it. The guy you used to hate. Say it.
Hurdle.
Here it comes.
I think that listen, that is a huge pickup, and we knew that he was going to play some games before the playoffs and be a player they were going to have in the playoffs. And I think everyone has to look at the Golden Knights like, dang, they got everyone back. They snuck into the playoffs where it looked like they might not. I think every team in the West was praying for them not to make the playoffs.
Right.
Because they could beat anybody. And I think, I think every team will be scared of them.
Okay.
Hurdle's played, he played like 6 games with them, 6-7 games he's played.
About.
Yeah.
Had
Yeah,
3-4
played a little
goals,
bit.
something like that.
Talk about your best case scenarios, right? You mentioned a little bit of Quan earlier on. You got Mark Stone on the wing. He's shoveling it in right there in the slot. You got Hurdle just camped out, his big ass, 6'2", 240, camped out in front of the net, scoring goals. Golden Knights fans are gonna love it if it shakes out like that.
And I don't even think it's the offense we need to worry about. I think it's defense and goaltending. And the defense has to help the goaltending. That we always blame the goaltending, but sometimes defense disappears.
They do get sloppy a lot. Times where you'll see
having
some players where you
Pietrangelo
just scratch
back
your
is
head.
going to really help. Having Carrier back is going to really help. So I mean, listen.
Well, he's saying, that they're doing their pressers and they want to get out of there and move on, turn the page. They want to just get on. Let's get on with it. Like they're ready to go. I think they're focused in. They've been in this scenario before and they've had letdowns. They were able to get through and finish their story right last year. So hopefully they've got their focus.
Cody Rhodes.
They have that's right, baby. There's the American Nightmare. They've got their. I think that they've got their focus and they have the experience. Everything is, trending in that direction. I think these Western Conference playoffs are going to be great.
Yeah.
The NHL playoffs are always
I mean, I
good.
told you guys at the beginning of the show, I was watching NBA and I was falling asleep. And
You're going to go to the
hockey
movies.
games were all close.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was planning on going to the movies. I'm like, Frank, have you heard about this movie? Is it any good?
Tacos and movies.
Hey.
Perfect.
But yeah, I mean, hockey, like you're going to get exciting games. You don't really get blowouts in playoff hockey. Maybe once in a while, but it's still like, good games.
You get closer games.
Yeah, you definitely get closer games. You never get the first game of the playoff series where every game's boring except one. And that's how we had it in the NBA.
Can I ask you guys one question real quick?
My mom said Hurdle and Dorofeyev will be
Okay.
the key
Yeah.
players.
Okay. I can see Dorodia stepping up for sure.
Those are two
Dor-
absolutely key pieces, right?
Wait, what? How'd you say that?
Dorodia.
There's no other D in there, but Dorofeyev.
I'm sorry.
And you cover this team? Yeah.
Hey,
You don't
hey.
call him that, do you?
No, I don't even
He
call these guys
doesn't.
by
He doesn't
their
have to say his last name
Okay,
when he's
So what do you say?
asking questions.
You just say, hey, you.
William. No, I say William, Carl, Jack. Just their name.
And look, and those are two names that your mom's bringing up great names, right? But we haven't even talked about a guy that can be absolutely a spark plug for this team and be a difference maker that could lead them to a Stanley Cup.
Ooh.
And you guys know I'm talking about number 9. Okay.
Oh, Jack.
Talk about Jack
Oh,
Eichel.
yeah, Jack. Oh, yeah.
Jack Eichel, from a talent standpoint, he is a guy that could be a top 5 guy in the NHL at times. He's that good. Okay. We haven't even talked about him. We talked a little bit about Jonathan Marchessault, right? He's going to have to be a guy that continues his scoring ways in the playoffs if they're going to win. But Jack Eichel, big time factor for Vegas when it comes to the postseason, no doubt.
Knights and what?
Me?
Yep.
I'm going to say Knights and 6. I think
right.
it'll be a lot
I'd say
closer.
Knights and 7. Yep.
Yeah, 6. Knights and 6.
All right. So I'm the only one that's going to be right. All right. Moving on to. Oh, my mom says just call him Door.
Just call him
Just
Dor.
call him Dor.
You got it,
DR.
Mom.
Yeah.
We'll do.
There it is.
Moving on to the boxing match that I didn't watch because I thought Ryan Garcia was trying to throw this whole fight. The way he had been acting, the way he missed weight. He missed weight by 3.5 pounds, which if you know fighters, that's a lot. And it's actually very disrespectful to your opponent to miss weight by that much. So it was a title fight until he missed weight. He had no chance to win the title. He goes in there against Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney, and dominates him. Haney probably, it went to decision, but Haney probably would have suffered a knockout at that. I don't know. I don't understand refereeing in boxing. That ref looked like he had money on Haney. Like it looked very obvious that he had money on Haney. Ryan Garcia goes and puts $2 million on himself. So he had to give up some of the money for missing weight.
1.5, I think it was. Yeah.
And he ends up making like $10 million on himself by betting on himself, which is very smart. If you know, like, look, let me go in feeling good. I don't care about the championship because boxing's all about money anyways. You can have a million belts. I can't name many champions as far as what belt they carry or whatever.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? The belts don't matter that much. But Devin Haney goes down. They've been fighting since the Super Bowl in the media room. Haney's dad is all over the place all the time. He's the LeVar Ball of boxing. But Ryan Garcia, listen, man, he went in there and totally dominated this fight. And he got hurt a couple times too. He took that kidney shot. But Jose, what did you think about this fight, man? I know Garcia's your boy. I don't know that. I just assumed because you're Mexican.
So I appreciate that. Jorge Masvidal said it best. Greatest troll job ever. I mean, he had everyone, myself included, and people at work talking about, guy's got to be on coke or something, right? There's something wrong with his head. He's passing these drug tests, but
I literally did not watch it because I thought he would do something weird like in the third and just lay down or something.
Something dumb.
I really thought it was going to be dumb, and I didn't want to watch the fight.
But the thing about it is, if you think about it, Quan brought up the weight. He did the right thing. He realized, I don't care about the belt. I want to beat this guy. I want to beat him fair and square the way that I know I can. That referee, too, was absolutely horrible. I think it was round 7 where Haney got knocked down 3 times and they only called 1 knockdown. Absolutely horrible. Maybe one of them wasn't, but the other 2 were definitely knockdowns for sure, 100%. But the way that he went in there and fought this fight, the craziest thing to me is a guy that's so technical like Devin Haney. How do you allow a guy to keep getting that left hand in on you over and over and over again? I know Ryan's good. I know Ryan's quick. But if Devin is as good and great as he says he is, why couldn't he counter it? Why couldn't he stop it? Ryan Garcia did what he had to do. A lot of his training camp was quiet. And what I mean by that, you didn't see all the videos and tapes and all that coming out daily like it was against Tank. What happened when he fought Tank? He said, there was a mole in my camp. People were giving out videos talking about what I was training, what I was doing. He shut down his camp, but became a circus for everyone else to be focused on that and not focused on the fight. And what did he do? He came out and had probably one of the greatest performances ever. And now you have Haney and his dad coming out saying, I want the rematch. We're already asking for it. And what did Oscar De La Hoya do? Did what he should do. He came out and said, we're good. We're moving past to bigger and better things. Yeah. You just beat the champ when the belt wasn't on the line. It stings him more than it does Ryan Garcia. You said it. It's all about money now. It's not about championships anymore. It's about who's the draw, who can sell pay-per-view, and who can carry a fight. Ryan Garcia did all of that night. I took him at plus 425. I put 100 on him, said the hell with it. Even though in my mind, I thought, Haney's the better fighter. He's going to go in there and probably beat him because of all the shenanigans and antics. I took a shot and it worked, man. People are saying fight of the year candidate. I don't think so, because if that was the case, Devin Haney would have to have done a lot more, and he did not do a lot in that fight. Ryan Garcia was the aggressor the whole way through.
Frank, what fascinated me about this fight is the whole juxtaposition of one guy's image against the other guy's image, right? For Ryan Garcia, you got the image of he's kind of a wild card at times, no pun intended, right? And there's the fact that he admitted to that he was boozing during training camp, and then of course that shirtless New York club Monday evening video came out and all that stuff. And then you hit juxtaposed against Devin Haney, who's looked at as one of the most disciplined fighters, right, in the game. Someone who takes everything extremely seriously and is always up to the minute on that kind of thing. And then you get to the fight, and you're talking about in the first minute of the fight, Garcia goes out there and sets the tone, with that blinding left hook right out of the gate, and you're like, okay, this is for real, right? People need to start paying attention, and obviously Devin Haney needs to start paying attention. And then you saw methodically.
And they showed the side-by-side picture of Garcia versus Haney and Garcia versus Tank.
Yeah.
And the weight cuts matter.
They do.
He's way bigger in this fight, and you could just tell, like, this is his healthy weight.
They said he went in as a welterweight.
And I wish more fighters would just start fighting at a more natural weight.
Well, what's a great equalizer, right, guys, when it comes to fighters like this, like Ryan Garcia? Is a guy that's got heavy hands, but he's also super quick, too, right? You got both those aspects to his repertoire, and he used that to his advantage. And then after the fight, again, this was hilarious too. So Ryan Garcia, he came with receipts after the fight, right? When it came to the media and other people, Anthony Kim, when I was driving to the show today, I was listening to the local ESPN guys, and they were talking about this fight, obviously, and they had Anthony Kim on, who's one of the prominent media guys that covers boxing, and Ryan Garcia in the post-fight press conference is naming off guys and calling them names and stuff in the post-game press conference and carrying receipts. I'm sorry, but I love that kind of stuff in the fight game. I think it adds to it.
Yeah,
and it was interesting as all get out to kind of see how that all went down. But he was naming guys in the media, fans, prominent fans, famous people that were questioning Ryan Garcia and his chances in this fight against Devin Haney. And he was able to do that because he performed well in that bout.
Boxing needs more faces.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that they have this guy who's obviously got personality, as you mentioned. He's keeping receipts. He's an agitator, a disruptor type of guy, and he gets attention. And you're saying De La Hoya already mentioned they're moving on to bigger and better things. They're moving past this. It increases the heat that this guy gets going forward and the attention that he gets. I think I don't agree with you betting on yourself or against yourself in a team setting, but if you're a boxer, we know other fighters in the past have bet on themselves.
Oh, yeah.
They've placed large wagers. What I would have loved is if he just showed like his William Hill account and just like
show us all the bets.
Look, I hit it. I hit the ticket. I was on it, that kind of thing. Or he had like the rounds that he picked a round. That would have been funny. But he's a character, and I think that it'll be funny to see going forward. Interesting to see going forward what kind of fights they set up for him, and if he'll make weight in that situation.
And check this out for the gamblers out there, Chris.
Yeah.
I got him pre-fight plus 425 in round 3 on William and Hill. William Hill, excuse me, you're right. You always correct me on that. For him to win by decision was plus 6,000.
Wow.
Live betting was plus 6,000
In the third.
third round for him to win by decision. That just shows you how much the sports book still said Haney's going to win this fight. And if you were following the stats, it kept saying Haney was getting higher, and then towards the end of the rounds, okay, they started dropping. I don't even think Ryan was ever a favorite during the fight when it was live. Yeah. That's how much respect they were giving Devin Haney. It's insane.
And Quan, Jose alluded to it, right? The knockdowns in the 7th, the 10th, and the 11th rounds, right? When it came to Devin Haney has fought, 31 professional fights? You know how many times he was knocked down before this fight? 0. Guy's never been knocked down. So that was also something that was a tone setter when it came to this match.
Watch some of these knockdowns right now. Let me refresh that.
And the worst part with the ref too, bro.
Yeah.
If you guys know boxing, when yours a low blow, late hit, whatever, you give a warning. Yeah. The fact that when Ryan Garcia hit him late and the ref took a point right away, that told me right there, this dude's got money on this or something's going on in his rig because it don't look right.
Maybe we should have seen the refs, William Hill.
Probably that would have been better. Yeah. I think he had a lot of money on that.
This one right here, man. I thought he wasn't waking up from that.
So that's the one where Ryan's standing over him like this, and everybody's doing that picture now with the Muhammad Ali thing. That's going to be a classic photo for a very long time.
Definitely.
Right there, look. Oh, my God. I thought he was done right here, bro. I thought he was done right here. Look out. Look it. Can't even get up. Unbelievable.
But, I mean, it doesn't sound like we don't know if it's going to happen or not. Would you like to see them fight again?
I don't want to see them fight again. Okay. I really don't. Because it wasn't for the belt. If it was for the belt, yes, 100%. But Ryan went in there and basically did what he had to do. And I think the sport of combat, sports in general, fighting, UFC, MMA, all that, it's no longer about belts that much anymore, bro. There's a lot of fights that are being made based off of talent and the draws and what can produce money-wise at the gate and pay-per-views. That's what happened.
In the UFC, you got Chandler and Conor McGregor.
Yeah, no belt.
They might actually headline a UFC, and there might be title fights there, and they might headline without a belt.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a 5-rounder, but there might be a championship title belt in that same in that same.
Do they have announced fights for that card yet? They don't have any. They haven't.
Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree.
That's the same card.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to be on the McGregor card?
Yep.
Okay.
303.
Look,
a lot of people are asking why he's coming back so soon.
There could also be a rematch,
too,
right, guys? The Davis thing could come back around again, right?
I don't think he's going to fight Tank anytime soon. I think he has to go either the Pitbull Cruz route or he's got to go fight Boots Ennis. To me, those are the only two guys that are left that he can actually
Unless he
fight.
can fight. If he could fight Tank at a bigger weight.
At a catch weight? Yeah.
He would.
Probably.
But wait a minute, guys. You're not on board with fighting a little 6'6", 154 pounder and Sebastian Fundora? You're not down with that?
Nah.
He's got 18 million plus social media followers, guys. I mean,
it's the age of social media, Chris. That's all it is with these
credible star power, bro. Right there. Maybe. Yeah. See, I'm kind of tongue in cheek with this, but Garcia, when you win fights like this, it gives you options, right? And so, and as Frank pointed out, Oscar De La Hoya is going to be looking at every option, right, when it comes to this. And Oscar even pointed out, he quoted it, quote unquote, right, that Garcia essentially is calling the shots, and he's the one who holds the cards when it comes to making money and setting up some of these matches.
And it was reported he made $50 million from the fight. $50 million.
Make that money.
Yeah.
That's insane, bro.
There's a lot of money in boxing.
I'm happy for Ryan though, bro, because after that fight with Tank, there was a lot going on. So I'm happy Ryan got that win.
And there's still a lot going on, but I just don't think he cares anymore what people think.
Yeah.
And I think he just went into this. Can someone go get the door?
Got you.
Yeah.
Her name's Natalie.
You got it.
Just don't let a homeless person in.
Not the lady that's been taking your
not
camera?
her.
Okay.
Not
Put
her.
Garcia in the ring with the winner of the Tyson fight coming up.
Get
Tyson,
there you
Jake
go.
Paul.
Boom. Jake Paul, Tyson. You could take on Garcia.
And my boy's been training Jake Paul, so I'm trying to get him on the show, not Jake Paul, but Coach Larry Wade.
You mentioned Jamal. Can I ask you a question about Jamal? If you're okay with that?
No, he's not my son.
No, not like that. I mean, like
No,
he's
he just
your
wants
son.
to- it's a
But
general question.
you've talked to him, I'm pretty sure, and had him in the studio since the fight, more than likely. And now that you know that he's coming back, do you think it's too soon for him? Because that is the
No.
question that people are saying. I don't think it's too soon. He's just.
No, I
he
think
wants to come
people
back and
on
get
the
in there.
internet are ridiculous. The internet's ridiculous in general. People say things on the internet they won't say to you in real life. They get brave. There was actually someone that said Unnamed Sports Show sucks on the Let the Ball Bounce group page.
Just trolls.
Yeah, just
trolling.
people are trolls.
Yeah.
So
Got nothing better to
so
do.
this dude, but and I was gonna make him clown of the day, but I don't even want to put his picture.
Clown
up.
of the day.
But
I mean, I saw his podcast. He said he wasn't hurt.
I'll do that on Thursday.
You know what I mean? So,
No, I'm not talking about Jamal. I'm talking
Oh,
about the dude from the group chat.
They're in the group chat.
I'm not going to call Jamal the clown of the day. No, he's not. He's fine. He was here Friday or Saturday. And there's people. Even there's some people looking at that fight and saying that Herb Dean should have. When you call a timeout, you got to fulfill the whole timeout because Jamal got clipped right after that. So there's some controversy with that. But as far as him coming back to fight, he didn't take any damage. And what people don't understand, you can get knocked out and wake right back up and you're fine. That doesn't mean you took damage. They check you to see if you had a concussion. He didn't. You know what I'm saying? So they cleared him to be able to fight again in a little over 2 months. It's June 29th. So that's a little bit over 2 months right now.
It's a 60-day window.
And for him, you trained for 8 weeks to fight. You fought less than one round.
Yeah.
You're ready to get right back and go at it,
physicality aside from the hit, you're still good no matter what. So
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
What's
You weren't-
Natalie, what's
you weren't
Natalie
going
doing
through
in
a-
the background?
You weren't going through a grueling.
Natalie, what are you doing in
extended-
the back?
Yeah.
Just partying.
Stand back up. Do the Vanna White thing you were doing. The Knicks game is on this
right
TV. What are you talking about? There's a commercial.
They're at halftime actually, but yeah.
I'm liking the.
70
by the way, I'm
for
liking the
50
Vegas
49.
Golden Knights Star Wars themed tank she's got going. It's top notch right
Is
there.
this Star Wars?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. I caught a quick clip of
Okay.
it.
Ooh,
Nice.
Toronto just tied it up 2-2 in the Boston game.
By the way, in that series, if the Blue Jays, if the Maple Leafs lose the series, the
They
coach
have
is
to
gone.
win.
He's out. He's out the door. I mean, you get.
But what about Boston? If they lose 2 years in the first round?
Quan, you know the expectations for Laker fans, right? For the
Yeah,
Lakers.
yeah, yeah.
Can you imagine? I mean, Toronto Maple Leaf fan is 10,000 times worse. And Toronto Maple Leaf media and Toronto Maple Leafs Toronto, Ontario, period.
How long
They
has it
are
been since they
hardcore.
won a series?
It's been a long time since they won a Stanley Cup. It's been
But
like
I mean, just even a
50
series
years.
because
Yeah,
they keep
60
losing
years.
in the first round too.
It's been a while, right? I don't have it off the top of my
I
head.
feel like they've lost at least the last 3 years.
they
in the
lose
first
every
round.
year when they're expected to be decent,
Yeah.
and they end up getting bounced in the first round.
But
It's just a
Boston, they
rough-
get rid of Cassidy. They get, we get Cassidy. They get the best record ever in the NHL last year and go out in the first round. So if they go out in the first round again, what do they do with their new coach? I mean,
question.
I think he's gone too. I think whoever loses this game loses
Yes.
their coach.
It
Or loses
probably-
the series,
It's probably true.
loses their coach.
I think Boston for sure, especially after last year, like you said, the best record in the league. It seems like that ends up being like some type of jinx for teams, right? And it makes you wonder what's going to happen with the Rangers this year.
Yeah.
They got the same trophy this year. Are they going to make it? Are they going to do anything? Are they going to get bounced in the first round? So I don't know, man. I think Boston's the one that's got the bigger hot seat overall when it comes to the coaching situation right now. So
The Rangers look tough in the East. I mean, they really do. And you got to take a look down, in non-hockey territory in Florida, right? With the Panthers, they looked solid too in their first game against their in-state rival.
Yeah.
Kind of hilarious, right? You got two teams playing in Florida
same spot, yeah.
that are both actually quality hockey clubs. But the Florida Panthers. You're talking about the Rangers, obviously, the blue shirts, and then Again, I'm telling you, going into the playoffs, I'm thinking to myself, and even as a Red Wings fan, who I despise the Toronto Maple Leafs and pretty much everything about them, right? I almost feel bad for them at this point because it is a team that's been talented, and this year especially, they've got talent all over the place in that team.
Yeah.
You got the greatest goal scorer in the NHL right now, right? And you have expectations there, and I don't think they're going to get met for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's going to be tough sledding, I think, for them just to get out of the series with the Boston Bruins, much less try to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you had Washington. I don't know how they got into the playoffs.
That was
They were horrible
there's
all
like
year.
4 teams that were vying for that spot.
Yeah.
My Detroit Red Wings were one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and Washington ends up getting it.
Yeah.
But I think they're out in the first round.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a little different than the Western Conference. I think the Western Conference was much stronger with the teams trying to get in than the East was.
Is this the last that we see of Ovechkin if they get
Yeah,
bounced?
see, that's
Oh,
the
they took that
interesting
second
point.
goal away from Toronto.
That's
They
an interesting
did?
point, Jose, because I think the NHL was happy,
Yeah,
right,
still
that
2-1.
the
2-1.
Capitals got in, right, because of Ovechkin
Oh, yeah,
getting into the
definitely.
playoffs. So that
Definitely.
was they were pumped about that. But yeah,
I
think
do
it's a
not want
possibility.
him to beat Gretzky's record.
Yes. Unfortunately, I think
Retire.
it's not a matter of if; it's kind of a matter of
So
when.
you think he's
It's a
back
matter
next
of
year
if.
no matter what?
Yeah.
He's back next year no
He's
matter
definitely
what?
going for that
Yeah, I
record.
think he's coming
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Injury's going to have to take him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not hoping,
But you're just saying.
but I'm just saying, if he got hurt, I wouldn't be like, oh, man.
Are you a Gretzky guy though,
Oh,
Quan?
diehard, yeah.
So I'm picturing Quan, going back.
No,
to
I
like
was a Kings
I'm
fan.
picturing you like as a kid back in the '90s and the early '90s and the late in the '80s.
I didn't start paying attention
your
to hockey
sporting
until-
his Edmonton Oiler, Wayne Gretzky jersey.
No.
He's a
I
king.
didn't become a
LA
hockey
Kings.
fan until he got traded to the Kings. I didn't know any players.
Yeah.
I know Bobby Orr and
Yeah.
and what's his name, Gordie Howe. That
Gordie
was
Howe.
it. But
Mr.
yeah,
Hockey.
when Gretzky went to the Kings, that's when I saw him cry and stuff like that.
It is
Because
time
Kings
now.
and Lakers were on the same
A happy
same
cry.
channel and
Happy
stuff like
cry.
that. So no, Gretzky didn't have a happy cry.
It wasn't a
When they
happy
were in
cry
prime
When he was
ticket.
leaving
because he's-
Edmonton.
Why would he be happy? You're moving to LA. It's a great town.
Yeah, but he was leaving
from
Edmonton, where he didn't think he thought they were going to win championships
Forever.
Not 6, not 7, not
Not
like
eight,
10 of them?
not nine.
Yeah, like
he
10.
thought it was going to be the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
But
Bonjai.
So he wasn't pumped about coming to LA.
Come on.
nah, I mean, I think he was, but it's
Yeah.
still like you're leaving. You're getting divorced.
You're leaving a championship.
even though
caliber team.
even though your girlfriend's hotter.
Yeah.
Still hurts.
The other one's more successful. The other one's got a bigger bank account.
Yeah,
even
and
though
she
she's
looks
not
a
as
lot
hot.
better.
Yeah.
She looks a lot better.
I mean, come on. Frank, any last words?
I love. You mentioned Toronto a second ago. I love Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
I thought
Guy
you
looks
say you
like
love Toronto.
The guy, no, the guy
you
looks
were
like
gonna
he's
bust out a
glued
Drake,
to the ice.
Drake diss track.
Oh, we the North. No, it's not gonna happen. Not a big Drake guy.
Really?
Sorry, I know you love him.
No.
Okay, yeah. No, man, I'm excited for the playoffs, all of it, and the draft on Thursday in Detroit.
Yes, it is. Detroit, home of the 2024 NFL draft, gentlemen, this year. And it could be, I got to be honest, it could be, and this will be my final thought, one of the most, uneventful. What I mean by is that there's just not that Peyton Manning, right? There's not that
What?
Andrew Luck.
Caleb Williams is
There's
supposed to be the next-
No, he's not, though.
We
He's
talked
not.
about it last night.
I mean, we can talk about Caleb Williams if you want to make
Supposed to be
comparisons to Patrick Mahomes
Yes.
and all this stuff. Okay, I can buy it a little bit.
I
But
can't.
what I'm saying is, though, you know what I think about when I think about this 2024 NFL draft, guys? I think about the 2000 NBA draft. You know what I mean? There's some guys that are going to be in this draft. They're going to have long NBA careers. There's going to be guys that are going to, they're going to be bust, obviously, and not do anything. And then but I don't think there's that superstar. You know what I mean? It just doesn't feel like it.
If Caleb isn't one of the best quarterbacks ever, he's going to be a bust.
That's I
For,
think
for, for
I
all the
probably
hype
agree
they've
with that
given
statement,
him,
but I would agree with what
he's
you're
going to be a
saying.
bust, even if he's a really good quarterback, right?
Yes.
If
Yes.
he's not a great quarterback, and I don't think he will be, I think Chicago made a mistake. Justin Fields is a good quarterback. They liked him there. The players liked him. The fans liked him. I think they made a huge mistake by not trading that first pick to build around what Justin Fields was doing, get a way better O-line, get better defense. They could have traded that pick and probably got 3 first-round picks.
Or Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well, they could have traded down and got a first-round pick next year and still got Marvin Harrison Jr. I think they made a huge mistake by keeping that pick and trading Justin Fields.
I agree.
But I
would've
think
kept
the
Justin.
biggest bust in this draft is going to be Jaden
Daniels?
Yes.
Out of LSU?
Yes.
Is there a Jaden Daniels fan
I said
right
biggest
behind me here?
bust. I said biggest bust,
Is
and
it-
she's clapping.
Oh, is she? Okay. I mean,
Yes,
no, but to my
she's-
point, guys, about the draft, right? So you're bringing up you're bringing up obviously Caleb Williams.
Which I want
Do you
the Raiders to
do you
trade
guys
up for
think about it
Jaden
like, I
That'd
mean,
be great.
is this a situation where you have a John Elway or an Andrew Luck, or even a Joey, even a Trevor Lawrence, right? It just doesn't feel like that kind of draft. Where you've got, and
But we didn't think CJ was
How
going to
about
be
the
what
top
he
10?
ended up being,
How
right?
about the top 10 guys? I mean, top 10. Are these guys that are going to be electrifying that you're going to say, oh, yeah, they're going to transform your NFL team
They might
in the top
But
10?
did you
I mean, I
see?
don't-
Nobody
I just don't
thought
see it.
CJ was. He got traded down for it.
Quarterback wise, I kind of agree with you. As far as the other positions, though, this is like a big draft for edge rushers and defensive tackles. It's a big draft for receivers
Tight end.
and tight end. So I
Marvin
mean, that
Harrison
could
Jr. I think
be-
is going to be a great receiver.
Okay, let me tell you something. Let me say something to you guys. I want to get your takes really quickly. Okay,
You don't
Wide
like because
receiver-
he's Ohio State.
Wide receivers, okay? Think about this. Wide receivers. When's the last time a wide receiver came to a team and you're like, oh, this wide receiver has led us to a Super Bowl win, okay? Think about the 4 teams that were in the championship games last year, right? And their top receivers.
Agreed.
I think of, obviously, San Francisco, I think of Brandon Ayuk, right? Detroit, you think of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Baltimore, you think of what? Zay Flowers, right? I mean, all these teams that were in the championship games and their receivers, they were important players, obviously, but you don't think about them as leading your team to a Super Bowl or being the marquee guys.
Yeah.
But I agree with your take as far as like some players can be instrumental, right? And you talked about edge rushers, right, and guys on the defense, right, can come in to your team, but I just don't sense that superstar power. You know what I mean? That guy or that handful of guys, 4 or 5 guys in an NFL draft that makes your draft marquee. I just don't see it here in
I think it
2024.
could
That's
down
fair.
the road. I think it could, but I think the quarterback. I think it's been overhyped how many quarterbacks are going in the first round. This kind of reminds me Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, who's not even in the league. That draft was full of quarterbacks that everyone thought were going to be good, and they ended up not being that good. But yeah, Natalie, can you comment in the actual? Quit texting me. Comment in the chat.
that's your
Like
fan
she
or
has
what?
so many comments about what we're talking about, and she's texting me instead of putting it in the chat.
Well, you look at like Zach Wilson, right? A few years ago,
Wait, he got traded today.
he got traded today for like
Oops,
a
that was the wrong.
seventh
hit the wrong
round
thing.
pick.
He got traded. It's a
for
pick swap.
It's a pick swap, right? The 6th round for a
So
7th round.
Denver
pick.
gave them a 6th round for their 7th round, and
Yeah.
Zach will,
And then they split the contract, whatever's left between both teams.
which isn't a lot. It's a rookie.
It's like 5.5
contract.
mil or
You
so.
So
know,
they have
uh,
Zach Wilson now in Denver.
They have their guy. Yeah.
Is their
They've
quarterback.
Zach Wilson went to
They've got
Denver.
So they're not
Stidham
gonna pick
and Zach
Bo Nix like I thought they
A
Wilson.
would.
lot of
in the
people
first
are
round.
thinking that
Yeah.
they're not going to draft a quarterback in the first round now, and they're going to go with him as their starter. I can't see Sean Payton doing that.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. Yeah.
it looks like Denver might be tanking. But Zach needed a change of scenery. I don't hate him as a quarterback. I think he could be decent, but he's had some decent moments and then just looks horrible.
You just don't want him around your mom. He's a
Wait,
Oh,
what?
my mom.
around around
What is Frank
Zach
saying?
Wilson.
Because my
Zach-
mom's in the
No,
chat.
I
You
know,
don't want
no,
him
we know
around.
what he's talking
I don't want him
about.
around
What is
Rosalie.
Frank
I
saying?
don't want him
We
around
know what he's
anybody's
saying.
mothers. He's a mother lover.
Really?
Yeah.
So he's dating like an older woman?
No,
His
he dated-
mom's
it-
friends are, they're
He
pretty
dated.
fire.
He dated a team. He hooked up with a teammate's mother.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He did a Delonte
did-
West.
For the
You
Jets?
didn't hear about that?
He did
From the
Delonte
Jets.
West.
Yeah.
With his
Who's
LeBron's
his teammate?
stepdad. One of his teammates from college.
I mean, if it's Aaron Rodgers' mom, she's like 40 years older than him.
And which is crazy because he went to
No.
BYU, which is a religious school.
well, we know Mormons. Never mind.
Yeah.
But
Which is a
I'm
religious
happy that he's gone. I'll be
I
honest.
thought
with
you were happy.
I mean,
hooked up with
As a
someone's
Jets
mom.
fan, he's happy. You're right,
I never
right?
wanted
You're
him
pumped.
to. I never wanted him to begin with. When we drafted him, I thought it was a waste of time. If you looked at the guy, he had Josh Rosen and Johnny Manziel written all over him. That's literally who he was and who he is. He doesn't care about himself. He had a one decent season during COVID, and that's the problem with these COVID shortened seasons. That a lot of these guys got bigger hype than they were supposed to. He was one of them. He was not that guy. He's never going to lead anyone to anything. He'll probably be a backup if he's lucky for the rest of his career, but I don't see him being a starting quarterback in this league ever again. The Jets gave him that opportunity. It didn't work. You had Aaron Rodgers there. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers was like. Maybe he didn't want to be a mentor or what, but the fact that you didn't take that opportunity and run with it and try to make something out of it, I'm good. I'm glad. But
And,
what are we
and
going to do
Natalie's
now?
over
though?
there on the couch talking about Tom Brady still. No one believed in him. 6th round. Jaden will be amazing.
Jaden will
Well,
be
that's
a
a
bust.
storyline about the draft, right, guys? Is
I
how
actually
many-
like Jaden.
yeah.
I think he's the best quarterback in the draft, to be honest.
Why?
I like him. I just like him.
Yeah.
I think he just looks more NFL ready than any of the other.
Did the Heisman
quarterbacks.
change your opinion on it? With or without a Heisman, do you still feel the same?
No, because there's Charlie Ward won a Heisman. You know, there's a lot of Heisman quarterback winners that didn't do anything in the NFL. Or
But didn't Charlie
even
Ward
get
play
drafted.
basketball too?
Yeah, he went to the NBA. Gino, what was his name?
Toretta?
Yeah. Didn't he win a Heisman?
He did at
did.
Miami.
Yeah, you know, and you know, he did he even get drafted, maybe 6th round, something like that.
Well,
He didn't
we
do
don't
anything.
even have to talk about. Let's get started on Frank's team.
But no,
Right,
I want
another
Raiders.
LSU guy.
I want Raiders to trade up to get him.
We didn't have to go there.
How many trades do you think there will be
In the
There's going to
first
be a
round?
ton.
on draft night?
I think there'll be a
First round?
lot. I think there'll be a lot.
I think we might see the most trades we've seen in
I
a
think
very long
at
time.
least 5.
Yeah.
And to Natalie's post, and we were just talking about this, quarterbacks, right? It's interesting from a betting standpoint how it's going about when it comes to the number of quarterbacks, right, guys? In the first round, it's been hovering, you know, it's even up to, I believe, 5.5, maybe 5.5 and 6 now in the first round. You can bet the over-under, and you could win or lose that bet, I think, easily on both sides if things shake out the way they do. Because, Quan, if there is a bunch of trades, right, for up to those 4th and 5th slots, which is people are talking about, the Minnesota Vikings trying to move up to the Arizona spot, people trying to take the Charger spot at number 5. It's because they want to get these quarterbacks, and there's going to be a run. And then going back to Frank's team, it's the Raiders, right? Raiders are going to be interesting here. Do they move up, guys? Do they move up?
They need
for
a
Michael
quarterback.
Penix Jr., right?
great.
And draft Michael Penix Jr. in the first round.
Well, Mark Davis already gave him the green light.
I don't think Michael Penix is a first-round pick.
There's a possibility I think he does go in the
I
first
think
round.
he's going in the 2nd round.
because teams panic though. Quan. I'm thinking there's a
do.
panic
You're right,
thing.
you're right.
that
He's got
could- that
RG3
could
written all
go
over
down.
him, bro. Let's be real.
Well, I'm not talking about his
Well,
prospects.
RG3 would have
I'm
been
talking
great
about-
if he didn't get hurt.
But that's what I'm saying.
But I'm not
because
talking
of
about
the
prospects,
injuries.
guys. I'm talking about the
Oh, yeah,
Raiders
yeah, yeah.
being the Raiders, and they want a guy other than Aiden O'Connell to be their quarterback.
They
And
need
yeah.
they need to get a
Oh,
quarterback.
we
And it's-
don't want
yeah.
Aiden O'Connell to be the quarterback.
And I think they are targeting Michael Penix Jr. as their guy.
Minshew-mania?
Yes, and so yeah, I
Little ass
agree.
boy.
I agree with Quan in that I don't think
They
Michael
need to
Penix
trade up for Jaden.
I don't think Michael Penix Jr. should be a first round
No,
draft
not at
pick.
all. He's not
But
a
I
first
think
round
there's circumstances could present themselves. And by the way, the people that are betting the over 5.5 quarterbacks going in the first round, if the Raiders trade up, or if the Raiders stay there and they get him, he could be one of those guys, right? Those 5 or 6 quarterbacks that ends up putting it over the total in the first round.
Natalie's drinking over there. Daniels has a drive and discipline to continue to discipline himself to the next level like Tom did. What?
Are we comparing Jaden Daniels to Tom Brady here? Is that what we're doing? I don't know if
Yeah,
we're
I think
going to go that route.
Pierce will draft Daniels if they trade up. I agree.
Yeah,
I think
that's going to happen.
I think that would be smart. I just don't know if they have enough to trade up that
Do
far.
you trade up to 2 to get him? Because that's where he's projected to go right now. Right? Because Washington will take him at number 2, or whoever they trade Washington trades
Well,
with
Washington might
is
be
probably going to
getting
trade up to
Drake.
get him. Yeah.
Drake May is what I'm hearing from
Washington
Washington.
might be getting Drake.
They're high on Drake
Well, the
May.
Patriots are the Patriots pretty much
Patriots are
signed,
3.
sealed, and delivered at
Well, they're
3. They
saying
want to
today
get him.
at
it's
3,
less,
though.
it's less likely that the
Jaden
Commanders
Daniels-
trade the pick. The Patriots are more likely
Yeah.
to trade. Neither are
But
probably going to
Jaden
trade
Daniels'
the pick.
agent basically low-key said they don't want to go there.
Okay. To
In a
Washington?
low-key way, yeah.
Okay.
Does that matter? It might not matter.
Yeah.
They have the second pick. They can do whatever they want.
Exactly.
But I do see a top 5 pick getting traded for sure. But yeah, Pierce has history with Daniels going back to Arizona State when AP was on Herman Edwards' staff as well.
Yep.
It's going to be fun, man. I'm excited for this draft in
sure.
Detroit.
Yes. God's country, baby.
Are you going there?
Motor City. I'm not going.
you going to be there?
Natalie, do you want to get on the mic?
Yes.
Are you sure?
We don't pick till pick 28, by the way, which is a rarity for us.
Yeah, you're
you know,
usually
Quan,
top
you know the
10.
deal. Jose, Frank, you guys know the deal. Detroit Lions, we're usually drafting the top 5. So I'm taking this I'm wearing this as a badge of pride that we're drafting
No, that's yeah.
in the
you definitely did.
25th and beyond.
It's a victory for you.
Yeah, it's very much a
and,
victory.
and my 49ers have like 11 picks.
Yeah.
They have a
we
lot
go.
of picks. They lost one because they did a payroll wrong. So they lost
it was some kind of penalty that they faced from the
some
NFL.
penalty. They paid someone too much. It's like, okay.
But it's probably a compensatory pick that they lost. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, they have so many of those anyways.
And you'll probably get somebody that'll end up being a Pro Bowler in like 2 years.
Yeah, of course.
In like the fourth or fifth round.
Yeah.
Like your guy
Because it's
Brock.
the Niners.
Draft very well. And they will win the Super Bowl next year. Guaranteed. Hashtag Quanstradamus.
Hey, if
That
you
took
guys,
me 2 days to get over, by the way.
If you guys
I
seen
didn't talk to
Brock,
anybody.
though,
Which is about half the time it took me to get over losing the NFC Championship game when we were up at halftime.
Okay,
And
there's
we were
rumors
celebrating-
of Tom
we were
Brady
celebrating
Yeah.
at Circa, all of us Lions fans, because we thought we were coming to Vegas, and it was not to be.
You know, I was sitting over here with a UFC fighter who thought that Detroit was winning too. We were live on Jamal Hill's channel.
Yeah.
And it got pretty crazy at the end. Like his comments thought that I was going to get beat up. And I'm like, I'm not.
No.
I'll be fine. But he was very upset that they lost because he swore they won. At halftime, they were talking about how they're going to play the Chiefs and what they're going to do and how they could beat them. I'm like, bro, you still got to win this game. Lions
here's the
fans
deal, right?
won at halftime.
Here's the deal,
But that's
Quan.
the problem. The Lions, not only did the Lions fans win at halftime,
Yeah.
the Lions thought they won at halftime.
No doubt.
And that's why they lost the game.
Yeah. And it was a funny story because I was down, like I said, I was down at Circa, and obviously Derek Stevens, the owner of Circa,
Yeah.
the D down
The
there,
D.
is a Detroit guy,
Yep.
right? And there's a ton of Detroit fans down there, a ton.
Yeah.
And everybody was celebrating because at halftime, it was, we're like, unless we absolutely lay an egg here, we're going to the Super Bowl for the first time ever in our franchise's history. And then for what to transpire, where the San Francisco played well in the second half. You have to give it to them. They came back and won the game, right? They get all the credit in the world. But it was like a ghost town in there, man.
I bet.
All the Lions fans were just. It was like everybody took pieces of tape and put it over all the Lions fans' mouths, and it was like a funeral in there.
Because if you would have
so.
lost, it would have been okay, fine. But losing like that when
if
you're
we
up
would've-
big,
my mom's, know the deal, man.
My mom's
if we
trying to
would've
get
lost
us to close this
in a
out.
game
how long
where
is this show going?
where the Niners were, handily
shout out to our
beating
fans
us.
that want us to end the show.
Yeah, it was brutal stuff. But
Yeah, that's the thing.
24
If you
draft.
get blown out, you get blown out. Cool, But when you think you won and you've never been to a Super Bowl, and then the Niners take you out,
and you're coming to Vegas for the Super Bowl, guys.
Yeah, man.
Vegas.
Yeah, man.
For the first ever Vegas Super Bowl, that added to it.
how she bring up Tom Brady for everything? The Lions pretended they won at halftime the way Falcons did against Brady, against Tom Brady.
Ouch, the Falcons.
But
did
that's
do
real.
That
That
was against the
that's
Patriots,
worse
not
because
just
that's in
Tom.
the
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Yeah,
too.
we saw what happened to Vegas Dave.
Exactly. You're right. We did see that.
That was wild. But that was even bigger. I mean, that was a
Yeah.
25-point lead at
Yeah.
halftime. That's
And the Super Bowl.
still
too.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the Super Bowl.
And you've never won a Super Bowl if you're the Falcons. And you lose that way.
No. And
That's worse.
I'm not going to say who their offensive coordinator was, but he does a lot in the playoffs that I don't like. But he's still my coach.
Yeah.
So if Purdy gets hurt next year at some point in the season and they're going to the playoffs, there's a retired quarterback that said he hasn't closed the door to not retire.
Colin?
Could you see Tom Brady as a 49er if Brock Purdy
shot.
gets hurt?
I don't think they'll let it happen because of his part ownership with the
Yeah,
Raiders.
he's not.
I don't know if that's true.
You
I'm
can
just
just give
guessing.
up the
I'm
ownership.
speculating.
Yeah,
in a
there
second
did.
and get
Trust
it
me,
back
if
later.
Tom Brady wants to come back, right, Quan? He'll
Yeah,
come
he'll
back
come
and
back.
he'll
I'm not
give
saying he
that
won't
up.
do that. I'm
No
just
shot.
saying I think
I
that
thought
might
you
But
were
be
he's
gonna
the
working
case.
for
I thought
Fox
you were going to
this
say
year.
Colin Kaepernick. I thought you were going to say Colin Kaepernick. Because you're like, I was thinking 49ers and
He
former
couldn't play
quarterback.
for the WNFL right now.
It was just.
I know though. Think about that. That's crazy that you asked that. Not
He's
just the
a,
Niners.
he's a Bay
any
Area
team.
guy.
Let's
I
say,
can
for
totally
example,
see Brady coming back.
you
and
have
play
a
for
team
the
that's in
Niners.
the playoffs,
He
wins their
wanted to play
division,
for
they have a
them.
home game in the playoffs, and they need a quarterback. If you're Tom Brady, how are you not sitting there thinking about that?
Quan, I can absolutely see it happening. Absolutely.
And then Tom Brady wins one more Super Bowl with the
that would be
49ers.
so classic.
Yeah.
That'd
no
be so
shot.
classic.
No shot.
And then Natalie will finally wear a 49er jersey.
Wow. Okay.
All right, we got to close it out because
Yeah.
my mom wants us to shut the show down. So when your mom tells you to get off air, you do it. But listen, man, we appreciate everyone for tuning in. Check us out. Follow at Gorilla Cross Sports on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Any final words?
I just got a quick shout out. Vegas Nighthawks 4-0, best starting franchise
I know, man.
history.
I saw that. They
if
dominated.
you
Davis
guys
handling
have
his
not
business.
checked them out,
They dominated on
Lee's
Saturday.
Family
Yeah.
Forum in Henderson used to be a Dollar Loan Center. Check them out.
Bro, if they
Game
don't quit
time has
changing
been
the name.
changed for this Saturday, April 27th. The game is now at 4 p.m. Bro, it's a great atmosphere.
It's going to be called
great
Gorilla
arena.
Cross Stadium soon.
Eventually, Juan's going to end up
I didn't
sponsoring
know
the
that.
Blades.
I mean, it can't cost that much to get naming
Probably
rights
not.
for them.
If they already switched it twice in 2
Yeah.
years, I don't see why. But yeah, big shout out to Mike Davis and the
$1,500?
Vegas Nighthawks, man. Go give them a like, follow the team. They're doing good. Not the only football team.
Yeah,
in
we got to
Vegas.
get Mike on the show too. He said he would.
Thanks for having me out, Quan. Great
Yeah.
time with you guys, Frank and Jose as
For
well
sure.
too here
Fun
for a
time.
little Monday afternoon action. And go Knights, go! See if
Yeah.
Vegas can get off the right foot here.
Check
in the,
out Frank
game one.
on Into the West Comics every Thursday, 6 p.m. Any last words, Frank?
Again,
I think you already had your last
excited for the. I think I did. Excited for the
Say it
Knights
again.
tonight. Draft this week, and we'll see if Jaden Daniels rewrites the history books of the NFL.
Yeah, he might.
Yeah,
Best quarterback ever.
ever.
All right, we're out.
See ya.